Hey, everybody, it's the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And today we expect legendary comedians to be stopping by, including, I'll just give away the first one now. And you know him from Comedy Central's, I don't know, dating bed.
Lucky Loser.
Big J. Okerson is going to be here.
That's nice.
Ow.
Yeah. And that's just the beginning of it all. I looked over here, and Dave in New Mexico said we're going to have a Gailibration today.
Oh, yes.
I'm really getting tired of the weird wordplay and pun stuff, you know?
But it's so fun.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Wonder why I'm not then. Not having fun. All right, the internet's already abuzz because Davey Mack's breaking a story that he and I are going to be getting together after all this time on October 1st on the, is it the ACS? Is that what he calls it?
ACN?
ACN.
What's
ACS. ACS.
His show would be an ACS, Anthony Cumia's show.
TACS.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
the T.
Yeah, you're right. Thank God you're here, not Stanley.
Well,
Stanley had a really just crazy morning, making a lot of weird sounds.
Yeah. Maybe the smoking's catching up.
G-Man says, attention people, His Holiness Ron is in the motherfucking house. Look, really at this point, it's all about the Pope. I want less attention and more on my good friend and co-worker, Pope Francis, or Frankie Beans, as we call him around the Catholic Church. He was in today with the Congress, and the Pope, he had them in the palm of his hands until he brought up Boca Juniors and really a lot of different local Argentinian football teams that was just lost. I mean, that's Redskins country when you're down there with Congress, which really bothers me because I know they're all from other states. But when you go to a Redskins game, there's all kinds of senators and congressmen there.
that irritates me because because I feel like everyone else sticks with hometown stuff.
Well, what they try, they go like, we have two teams, the team back at home and this team that gives us free buffet and tickets.
No, you don't have two teams. You're lying. That's garbage. You can't have two teams. It's one team. You have to have one.
What are you talking about? There's no law about that.
No, but you as a human being, as a sports fan, you should only have one team. That's your team that you root for. You can't support another team.
What about people who move?
No, they have to keep the old team. Like, say if you're a Redskins fan and you moved.
What if you have children? What if, like, say you're a New York Giants fan,
okay,
and then you move to Phoenix,
okay,
and your children, are you going to say to them, you don't like your local team, you like the Giants, like Daddy? I hate those kind of fathers. I hate the fathers that force a team onto their children. Let the children pick their team.
But I felt more a connection. Well, maybe it's because it was Florida, and we didn't have great sports teams at the time. But I felt more a connection to your teams from your youth.
I don't think that's true. In terms of football, you were a Bucs fan.
Maybe less so in football, but for certainly for baseball.
Well, let me just say this. Well, of course, you didn't have a real baseball team then. When a certain twin picked off an eagle and ran it back, were you cheering for the Bucs that night or for the Eagles?
That in that moment, I was cheering for the Bucs.
I can't wait to tell your man that, because that was the lowest point of his life.
I know it was.
And there's no way the Eagles wouldn't have went on and won the Super Bowl that year.
We don't discuss it much.
Well, I'm going to bring it up a lot.
Please don't.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, Queen Elizabeth, very excited about Big J. Okerson coming in. I guess he'll try to find dates for us. I think that's what he does now.
Oh, good.
Like, I guess I'll be speed dating with Joe for a while and see if that works out.
See how it goes.
And then we either, we get a Subway token or we get a 40.
Nice.
40, please let me get the 40. Hope it's cold 45.
Oh, we didn't bring up our act today. Alan Stone, the great Alan Stone, is here with us all afternoon. I talked to Alan before. He's a white kid, I think, from Washington. Sounds just like Stevie Wonder. And I don't think that he heard any secular music until he was like 16 or 17 years old. His family just had church music for him.
That's amazing to me when somebody has that intense of a like small bubble that they grew up in. And then you look outside of it and you're like, hey, I've been missing life.
I didn't know that there was good performers besides Creed. I think he was allowed to listen to Creed.
I had a friend who had this experience where his family was very Christian, intense Christian, not just, not just strict, or they spoke in tongues. It was a pretty serious situation.
That's a speech defect, and I don't think you should make fun of anybody.
But he had an awakening when he was like middle school age. I don't know how he came across it. But he heard the mall. he heard Queen. He heard and saw That's Queen weird. For the first time, and he was like, "What have we been doing with our lives?
I'm so gay. I didn't realize how gay I was."
It could not be a more extreme band either. I want to live in sin.
Well, I had kind of the same thing when I was 14 years old. When I dropped LSD 25, and I was with parents who never did acid, not even shrooms, mescaline, nothing.
Weird.
Yeah. And no buttons, nothing, And when I did that 25, I said, oh my God, even though this mind of mine has not hatched yet, I'm staying. I'm staying in psychedelic land. And my dad used to say to me, Ron B, you're too psychedelic these days. Let yourself grow up a little bit.
Man, he's cool.
Get a hair on your chest before you go and drop that Sid. And I said, Daddy, I'm hungry. My mind is hungry. But, I think that's what, I think in a lot of ways, what like happened with Alan Stone is like even better than if you were just introduced to music as if it was something that plays while you're in the car,
Yeah, because you're going to appreciate it on a different... It's like getting a sense that you didn't have.
Right. Like Chris Stanley, I think he was 15 before he ever tasted clean water.
Yep.
Wow.
Blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah, and that was the last time he had clean water, and it's his own fault. He won't wash his glasses. The water's clean until he puts them in them same damn glasses he's been using all these years.
I ain't drinking out the faucet.
Did you have something that opened your mind like that at any point in your life? Just a life-changing moment?
I remember my freshman year of college, I listened to the Beatles for the first time.
You're fucking kidding.
I'm not kidding you. My parents didn't listen to music in the house. Like, they just didn't listen. My dad had like some old like Moody Blues fucking LPs.
But he had to have heard the Beatles to get the Moody Blues.
But like the first time I like listened to like Sgt. Pepper's was in college. I was like, holy shit.
I felt like mind blown.
Dude, I felt like a moron. I was like, this is... And then I played it for my mom. I was like, did you listen to the Beatles? And she like looked at me like, yeah, of course I did. Then why didn't you play it for me, lady? It was fucking...
But you went to school, you had friends, you had a radio.
All that listened to in high school was rap music. That's it. That's all we listened to. It was East Coast rap music. Not even West Coast, just East Coast.
Sure. I mean,
It's like Wu-Tang and Biggie. What?
Yeah.
But then in college, everything changed.
Oh, that's weird to me, man.
It was really weird shocking. To me.
I've never even heard of a person who hasn't. I mean, I think that if you would say to most Americans, what song have you heard the most in your entire life? I'm sure it would be a Beatles song. You know what I mean? One Beatles song or another, probably. You can't escape.
Yeah, it would be up there because you're talking about stuff that is on TV, is on the radio, is on, you know what I mean?
Everything.
You walk into a store.
It's like a Russian going, no, Stalin, I never heard of him. This is a mind fuck for me. It
was a mind fuck for me at the time as well.
You don't strike me as somebody who was unaware of music, though, when you were young.
It was strictly hip hop in high school, and then after high school, discovered the Beatles in 2002.
Where do I put the Kinks on for you? You're going to go crazy.
What's this?
Was that Army Man? Did he discover the Beatles? Joey, did you ever have a moment like this of any kind?
Yeah, I was tripping shrooms in high school once, and I realized that life is based on perception, and that blew my fucking mind.
I called you in. I made a giant fucking mistake. I didn't mean it.
I was.
How about for you, Gail?
I don't know if I had that. I felt very exposed to things in my youth.
Right.
Like I don't think. You know, I had a pretty good education on film and music. I mean, it might have been something outside of art, like maybe like the first time I tried a food that I know that when I tried sushi, it was like something that was like really weird to my mind where I was like, this is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
And then it like changed your perception on like flavor. But I can't think of my mind being blown where I was like, I always turned away from this art form. I always turned away from this genre.
It's going to be a novel or something, because I remember...
It's possible, yeah.
I remember a couple of novels when I was a kid that, I probably took on too heavy.
Right.
I treated On the Road way too heavy when I was this
is my Bible.
This is it. But to have something like I never heard the Beatles, that's wild to me. All right, so if you had to guess what popular song you've heard more than any popular song in your life. By the way, I bring this up because they just have, after all these years, dropped the copyright on Happy Birthday. There's been a lot of films that you'll see them going, and you're like, why aren't they singing Happy Birthday?
Like, for he's a jolly good fellow.
Because it's been incredibly expensive to just sing Happy Birthday on film. So, I mean, that has to be up there, but to say a real song.
A popular song.
Of any kind, really.
I would have to say, now I would put Beatles probably pretty high up there, but I think that you've got to think of something that would be on the radio, something that would be on TV, something that would be just in life, in bars, in stores, whatever, and something that you wouldn't turn off. So it's got to be popular enough that it's on all the time, but not something that you're like, ugh, next. And I'm going to say it's a little song called Satisfaction. I think I have probably heard Satisfaction more than any other popular song.
It's funny that you would say that. I remember the first time I heard Satisfaction, and older girls were dancing to it, and it was like, if that was almost like Stanley's Beatles music of seeing girls dance around together. I've never gotten that out of my head. It's my sister's friends. But I'm thinking Satisfaction is actually a good one. But, Satisfaction doesn't play on classic rock stations. And I wonder if it isn't something like Hotel California or Freebird or even Take It Easy by the Eagles, which gets played pretty much every minute of the day. Doesn't go back as far as, I was thinking to myself, if it was a Beatles song, that stuff played a lot more in the 60s and 70s than it has post the real creation of classic rock, which is kind of a mid-70s to early 80s creation. And that's why I think the Eagles are still so giant to this day.
Right.
They've never been off the radio.
But you mentioned Freebird. If you've spent any time in the South, that number, I think, doubles.
But I just don't run into people who go, I really don't like Freebird. Could it be the Zeppelin classic? Could it be Stairway? Stairway to Freebird.
Stairway to Satisfaction, Freebird. I was talking about Satisfaction, the Devo cover.
Oh, yeah, sure. Boy, that almost started a riot in this country. It's an interesting. All right. Now, Johnny Tyler writes, yesterday he just writes by a little called the Beatles. I think that might have been true at one time, but you haven't heard Yesterday on the radio in decades. Now, in the 60s and 70s, it was like a Beatles song that adults would like. Like, I don't like the Beatles, but I do like that song Yesterday.
Right. Like, I was going to say Hey Jude, but the reason I took it off of the top there is because I think Hey Jude's a long song. I feel like sometimes you're coming into the middle, you don't hear the whole thing. I feel like Hey Jude is not as played.
All right, Brandon has put one that's pretty fucking big up there. Don't Stop Believing. The Journey classic.
It's true.
Obviously has picked up in the last 10 years. At the time, people won't remember this. I don't even think it was a number one hit. I think it got as high as like a number 2. And I bet they weren't even closing their shows with it. You know, it only has become in the last 10, 15 years to be this ridiculous Glee anthem. David in PA.
Hey, buddies, Ron, you're probably going to have a better example than me, but I was going to say My Girl or some of that Motown soul music. I feel like you hear that quite a bit.
Let me tell you, first of all, I think that's a brilliant choice, particularly My Girl. But has there ever been a time that you heard boom, 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 and didn't lean over to turn that shit up?
Oh, hold on.
You know, and if you think of songs like you could sing with friends, family, doesn't matter. Everybody knows the words to My Girl. That's a damn strong one.
I appreciate it. Love the show. And hey, Ron, you told me to I called you a couple months ago asking if I should go to French Laundry in Napa Valley, and I took your advice, and I got reservations in November. My wife and I can't wait. Love the show.
Make sure you call me when it's done. I want to hear all about it.
Absolutely. Take care, Brad.
All right, peace. Ben in Illinois.
Yeah, with going with Gail's thing with being on commercials and stuff, I think Imagine's probably got to be up there with the most heard song that I've ever heard in my life.
Now, it certainly has been out there a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets sung at graduations and shit like that as well. But the most, I don't know. I would guarantee it's up there pretty strong. Here's Mark. Mark in Virginia.
How about Piano Man? Everyone, it just kind of hits all ages. You know what I mean?
Piano Man is an incredibly well-known song, and it is one of those songs like if Billy Joel starts to play it somewhere, he eventually stops and lets the audience sing it, which, by the way, gets a little annoying to me when artists do that.
But it is a song
lean on it.
that no matter what, everybody, for some reason, knows the lyrics to.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Piano Man may be that song that is known by everybody, which is odd when you think the national anthem isn't known that way.
Right.
Like if someone said, you have to sing a song before the football game, I would sing Piano Man before I would sing the national anthem. And probably have the fucking crowd in the palm of my hands.
You know what? There's a better range there. You know, it's not as tricky.
Yeah. Who never had time for a while. Everyone feels like a crooner when that's on. Jay, go ahead.
Baba O'Reilly, The Who.
That's an actually very strong one for me.
Yeah.
Seems like it's in every commercial these days.
Well, also, you know, it is a rock anthem that has never been off of classic rock all these years.
That also has the same effect. Like if you hear that intro on the radio, you're like, oh, hold on.
Can't turn it off.
And yet it doesn't mean the same thing as it did to me when I was a kid.
Right.
Like seeing the Who doing this when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
It was, I felt like I was coming out of my skin. You know what I mean? Like the fucking lights are off at the place. There's this little big boom. And I just like, it was too much that I could even fucking handle. I think I just started screaming like a Beatlemaniac girl. And anytime I saw him, I felt that way. Literally.
I felt that way listening to this song on headphones.
Oh, yeah.
Just
I
stoned.
know.
I was like, it's all coming. This is the shit.
I even like when the Blue Man Group do it and they punch the fucking piano strings thing. What are those called? Those piano what? Those, it's inside the piano?
I feel like it's I don't know what that is.
Yeah, piano strings.
Is it?
They're strings, right?
Here's Kayla in Atlanta.
Hi.
Hi, darling. What do you have?
Hey, I was thinking Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, certainly since the movie, that gets played a lot. It's known by everybody. It's actually not even hated by Queen fans themselves, even though it is a little overdone.
I mean, Kanye covered it. It's that big.
Yeah. I thought that was Jay-Z that came out and did that.
That was Kanye.
Was that Kanye?
Yeah.
What did Jay-Z do that time?
Not sure what he covered.
He did something when they said he didn't belong at the rock festival. Went out and sang really bad. Bohemian Rhapsody has to be up there. And also probably We Are the Champions, because that's
God. Every
sporting event that you could possibly see.
That actually might beat that song.
But
because of how many...
Here's Peter in Long Island.
Hey, what about Bob McLean, American Pie?
That's a goddamn good one. That's like a 7-9 minute song that everybody knows the words to.
Yeah, and again, constantly on the radio.
Yeah. Michael in Kansas City.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I was gonna say, Peter Frampton. Do you feel like I do?
That is really big, particularly when it came out. I don't know how they did it, but they somehow in that album got played in every bedroom in the suburbs that summer. Because he had that little Frampton fucking...
He's talking with the guitar, man.
Yes, you do it.
Yeah. But then it was only a year and a half later everyone decided that they hated him and hated it. Dylan in Atlanta.
Hey, guys. I got two, but he said for me to just say one, so Maggie May.
Well, that's a very strong one. I never turn it off, and it's overplayed.
Yeah.
I saw you make a little face there, though. You weren't agreeing.
I just don't think it's going to be as high as some of the others that we've mentioned.
All right, I got one for you then from Taylor in California. Take a listen.
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline can be sung anywhere, and people feel the need to not only sing along with it, but to do the little background things,
right,
like in the movie Beautiful Girls. And now they've forgotten about Beautiful Girls, and the people in Boston think they invented that.
That's where that started, right? From that movie, right? Because I don't remember anyone being like, oh, Sweet Caroline, the song that we all sing together.
Remember, even when he started to play it, somebody in the crowd goes, oh, I know this. Like it's like an old song at the time. Someone even goes, oh, I know this song.
I think it's Uma Thurman's like, oh, I know this song or something like that.
And now everyone wants to believe that that's their past and their excitement level.
You remember.
Mark in Texas.
Hey, Sweet Home Alabama is pretty hot down this way.
Let me tell you, that song came out in 73, 74, and has never been off the radio since. It's also, and you could forget about this, because some of these things aren't great songs, but this is a fucking great song.
It is.
And when he says turn it up, I do.
I listen. This is also one of those songs that you sing along with the guitar part.
All right. Waylon sent this in to me, and this is interesting. When I said, I don't think that when Journey did Don't Stop Believing, it was even a number 1 hit. It was number 9 hit, which is a solid hit, but you don't expect a number 9 song to last and grow in popularity and be like, really now, if people went to see Fake Journey and they only did the one song, but they did it 10 times, people would be happy. The audience that goes to see them now would be happy just to hear that over and over.
It's what we came for.
It's really weird. Really, really strange. Jeff in Jacksonville.
Hey, how you guys doing? My song, I think, crosses a lot of lines. Every DJ plays it at every wedding. Been in a movie. Been a big hit, and that is Bob Seger, Old Time Rock and Roll.
See, here's the thing that I feel bad about that. First of all, I will agree with you. It's played endlessly. Second, it kind of makes people think that Seeger sucks.
I know.
Because it's a little cheesy, but he's a really strong songwriter.
That's what I actually had to disassociate him from that song in order to appreciate Bob Seger later in life. Because I was like, oh, yeah, Old Time Rock and Roll, that's just kind of
Definitely not my favorite Seeger song, but it's one that people just don't turn off.
No, I agree, but it's like the worst people don't turn off. That's the problem with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, from the standpoint of just playing time, I guess it wins just on that, maybe. But
no, I would agree with you. I think it's got to be up there in terms of what song have you heard the most. It's got to be pretty high because you just can't escape it.
But if you're ever somewhere and this song comes on, the people who feel the need to hop up and start dancing, it makes you want to run for the fucking exits.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And it's not Bob Seger's fault. It's not his fault.
Well, it's his fault he wrote it and recorded it. I mean, he has to share in the blame. You know what I mean? But everybody has a couple cheesy songs. I don't care who you are.
Sure.
You got everyone. Oh, the people brag about the fucking Beatles. I'm like, you ever heard Yellow Submarine or Maxwell Silver Hammer? Some fucking dumb shit in there.
Pretty corny.
Gibberish.
Yeah.
Stanley's favorite band.
Of course it is.
Later in life.
Ron in Milwaukee.
yes, Glory Days, Bruce Springsteen.
Well, I mean, I think you got to say Born to Run if you're going to go Bruce Springsteen. And that Born to Run is one of those songs that never has come off the radio. A lot of people, you know, who aren't necessarily Springsteen fans, that's the song that they know.
Or someone who will say, I love Springsteen. Born to Run's my favorite song.
All right. PR says Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl. There was a thing where Van Morrison said, well, I've written 200 songs better than that. He literally said,
please stop playing that song.
You're starting to make me hate that song. Debbie writes in, Respect by Aretha Franklin. Oddly, that wasn't even her song. It was an Otis Redding song, and she just fucking took it. She literally took it. And within a year of when he wrote it and recorded it himself. That's got to be up there. But also, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman has to be incredibly into your brain, whether you want it to be or not. I mean, that shows up in so many movies, commercials.
Huge in commercials.
And it's weird because you will see men singing that song.
Oh, of course.
Really hardcore. You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, which is, especially when you get to that What You Done to Me part. You can't fucking stop. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, boys and girl.
Yeah.
Hey, I watch a lot of football and hockey on TV, and I can't go through a game without hearing Crazy Train, at least
Well,
times.
there's some truth to that one, no doubt about it. Tim and Raleigh.
Hey, Ronnie, how about Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places?
I'll tell you, I don't know shit about Garth Brooks, and I probably could sing every fucking word of that dumb song.
Oh, there's especially a time where I just feel like it was never not being played. And again, that also might be a certain time living in the South. I don't know. But that song felt like it was never not playing.
It's around. It's around a lot. Paul.
My favorite song is Margaritaville.
Oh
no!
You work with one?
All you gotta do is live in Florida, dude. You can't walk past a pool without some dude fucking playing it on guitar.
That song actually gives me anxiety when I hear it.
Yeah, you should. It should. Robert, Kansas.
Yeah, my favorite song, and Almost Famous gave it a bump, but Bennington took it to millions every day, and that goddamn Chris Stanley cuts it off early. Tiny Dancer.
I'm not familiar with it. Steve. Lost you, Steve. Here's David.
Hey, Ronnie, you got a lot of songs you are talking about on the AOR radio, but I don't care what kind of music you like or dig. Everyone knows the twist. Everybody.
That's a really good call.
Yeah,
that's a really good call, and also
he's still doing it.
Yeah, and it's also a wedding favorite.
Yeah,
you gotta do the twist. What's weird about the twist? It's probably not even the best twist song. I probably
like Twist Again.
I like Twist Again.
Twist and Shout.
Yeah, I like Twist and Shout. I like about 4 Twist songs better than the original Twist. By the way, Chubby Checker not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Ridiculous. Burn it down then.
No,
that's too harsh.
I'm gonna burn it down over Chubby Checker.
You really love Chubby Checker.
Get the gasoline.
Larry, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was thinking about the Who with the song "Won't Get Fooled Again."
That's a big one.
The TV show.
I hear it. Yeah, I hear it all the time.
What TV show?
CIS. CIS.
Oh, I don't understand what you just said. The TV show.
I'm a moron.
The
Seinfeld.
And then you yelled at me. Matt, go ahead.
The one chance for every girl to prove they're a hard rocker. AC/DC, you shook me all night long.
It's a song that gets a lot of love.
Yeah.
I'm looking down, I'm seeing, it looked like Mark Rubio was crying over the Pope. And has stopped and comforted some people on the aisle there.
Yeah, there he goes.
You know, the Northeast, well, let's face it, the country has Pope fever. They're calling it Pope on the water. Everybody's crazy about him. He has put not only the Christ back in Christmas, but I believe he's put the Mass back in Christmas. But unlike all the news, I'd like to give a moment to the loyal opposition.
Yes.
So let's talk to the fantastic Barry Crimmins. Barry.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Do you have Pope fever?
No, I'm doing all right. I'm no bad. It's good. They say he's a rock star. I just want to remind everybody, so is Gary Glitter. And there's an affinity group there for him. So, anyway, yeah. Put a brand new masthead on a really creaky ship and shove it out into the ocean. Good idea. Anyway, it's his job to change the subject and not the church. And we'll leave that. Let me end this thing with the music. Proud Mary.
Proud Mary's a damn
That's a
good
one.
That's strong.
My friend Jack Gallagher, who you may know, he played the doctor on the Larry David show. Great stand-up comic from Boston. He works out of Sacramento now. When he married his wonderful wife Jean, they paid the band extra to not play Proud Mary. And so, of course, during the reception, I went over and bribed them to play Proud Mary. And both Jack and Gene turned over and looked daggers at the band. And I'm there next to the bandstand waving. Hi, how are you? Shouldn't have told me that one. And then my friend Bill Morrissey, years later, he knew the story. The late, great folk singer Bill Morrissey wrote a song called Off-White. And in it, he said, we'll have her, it's about his second marriage. And then he said, we'll hire a band that won't play Proud Mary. So it was immortalized there as well. So, yeah, I'm getting ready to go out I'm on the road.
You're on the road now. Where are you playing?
Tonight I'm at the Comedy Works in Albany. Tomorrow night at Saratoga Springs, where I saw The Who in 1971.
Wow.
When Who's Next first, matter of fact, it hadn't even come out yet. And they were so great that, like 3 weeks later, when the album came out, I remembered every song. They were just tremendous. It was a great night. So I'm looking forward to going back there and driving past there.
I think very few bands have ever been able to touch The Who at its peak, you know? And they were such a great band even before they became that arena band. I mean, like that early mod.
The mod
Who
stuff
music
is the best.
so great.
They were very, very cutting edge. And the other thing is, take it easy. I toured with Jackson Browne in '88, and they used to, and Jackson did all these benefits, and they would always ask, how can Jackson afford to do all these benefits? And his road manager, Ty Brazel, would say, he wrote the song Take It Easy.
Yeah, it's true.
And that was in '88. I think there's been 13 new box sets since then. So, I imagine he's still doing okay.
And when Jackson does it, he slows it down a little bit for everybody. He actually does it easy.
He takes his own advice.
What about Fire and Rain? I mean, that's a song that you've heard so many times in your life. You wouldn't even want to.
Never by choice.
I'll be thinking of that as I drive to New England Saturday.
You know, you're coming down to New York City too, right, Barry?
On the 18th and 19th at BritTac and Gunga's Den on the 18th, and BritTac in Chinatown on the 19th. And a bunch of stuff. This weekend, the first two nights, I'm at Comedy Works, Albany Comedy Works.
Saratoga Springs, and then the Performing Arts Center at Hale, in Truro, Massachusetts, way out at the end of the Cape, and then perfect routing. Then I'm in Milwaukee Monday afternoon for a showing of Call Me Lucky. I'm going to intro it and do a Q&A afterwards. On Tuesday, I'm in a place called Ralph's Power Plant at 6 p.m. because it's the Midwest and you can't explain things to people. But I'll be doing comedy in daylight, which is like mowing your lawn at midnight. Sooner or later, someone's going to get hurt. But I will be there at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday night at 9:30, we show the film again at the Avalon. At the Downer Theater, which is daunting, but it probably work out all right. And then I make the swing. I go up to Detroit a day early where I catch Margaret Cho perform there, and I'll be playing a slightly smaller venue, the Park Bar on Park in Detroit, sort of near the ballpark and stuff. Friday night. Saturday, I'm in fabulous Kalamazoo. Sunday, this is a week from now. Sunday, a week from Sunday, I'm in Ann Arbor. So that's a lot for an old guy.
Dude, you're just a road dog.
I am. I am. I'm just practicing feeling legendary.
That's what you need to do. I think
my hair.
Robert Klein is stopping by, and I think they're doing a documentary on him as well. But I can't imagine he's got your first act. I just can't imagine him being able to pull that off.
It was years in the making. But I'll look forward to seeing that. I always love Robert, and there can't be enough talks about comedians as far as I'm concerned. I hope that we're helping to keep the trend going.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And I hope everybody's downloading Call Me Lucky on all your iTunes and Amazon and all that stuff. And it's also October 13th gets released in DVD. So everybody, and we better get something to you for the big ass prize closet or whatever we're calling it these days.
Yeah, I would love to have some of those, and I hope you stop in when you're in the city, dude.
I will. I definitely will. And listen, I was remiss to not pay my regards to Ms. Gail the last time I called.
I couldn't sleep over it. I was so upset.
I felt terrible. Gail, I think, everything is, I can tell you're playing this thing perfectly with your dad, and we'll leave it at that.
Let's keep this quiet.
What are you guys up to?
We've just been talking.
What don't I know?
Still valid to it. And sadly, you haven't been too reactionary today, so I'm happy about it.
It really is. Our young conservative has chilled out.
Wow. Together. And by the way, how humiliating is it to go out in week 2 of your football pool?
But here's the deal, dude. 90% of the people did. I mean, the football is so screwed up this year that we only have 6 people left. Tom Rhodes, who isn't even in the United States.
He's in Malaysia.
He basically, he picked the Jets based on Joe Namath.
And then a bunch of broads.
Yeah, we got 3 women. Out of the final 6. Good. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, what I try to do, I say,
but you ain't got me.
Yeah, I go, let's make sure we have some women's, a black, an Asian, and a Hispanic.
Definitely.
I like to really be covered.
That's what we like.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all for that. So, thank God you started talking about this music, because when I got in the car, you know what song went through my mind?
What's that?
As I start touring? The theme song from The Littlest Hobo. You remember that, Ron?
Wow, I'm not sure.
It was the dog. It was a dog that was just traveled around and had different adventures in towns and would save the town and then leave. and the theme song was traveling around from town to town. Sometimes I think I'll settle down. Like this dog. Had this, I don't know. Considers it, but then rejects it. Better keep moving. My friend Mike Donovan, the great Boston comic, and I have been laughing about that for 30 years now. Sometimes I think I'll settle down.
The dog was basically the Then Came Bronson of the canine world.
Was stolen. Then Came Bronson was stolen from The Littlest Hobo. They described it with a human.
Oh,
They could have just put a little Sobo on a motorcycle. We would have been all set.
hey, Barry, what about a life like Stanley's where he said he never heard the Beatles until he went to college?
Wow.
Mormons!
Well,
Don't say
clearly
shit
he
like
went
that.
to a good college.
Sooty Purchase, thank you very much.
He went there in 1964.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
His roommate was watching Ed Sullivan.
What's that?
What is this new sound?
Man, and these are the people his age that's who I'm talking to on this tour, so we'll just have to. I'll be available with subtitles in some areas.
All right, Barry, we'll see you soon, buddy.
Okay, thanks for helping me plug this tour, and I love you guys, and best to everybody out there, and hope to see you along the way.
All right, take care. Your chance to go out and see a legend. Barry Crimmins is playing the United States of America. We'll make sure we connect by Twitter to the website and touring dates and all that.
Yeah, all dates and ticket information is at barrycrimmins.com, and on Twitter it's at Crimmins.
Not that original, though. barrycrimmins.com.
You got that.
Yeah, you got it early.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah, I could never get ronbennington.com. They were on that like a fucking heartbeat. I think I went over and said, could I have it? And they said, yes. It's, more money than you would ever spend for anything. They grab people's names and they hold it.
Yeah.
Sick.
It's a giant business. Is cyber squatting is what they call it.
I remember that there was that if you used to go to ronandfez.com, you would just see dildos everywhere. Some colleges pissed off over dildos. I can't remember which one it was, but they had it in the campus store.
It's Westchester University.
Westchester, Bestchester. Is that the one in PA? The teachers' college, as
Yes,
they used to say?
exactly. But it's, they were upset over a blow-up doll that they were selling on campus in the campus bookstore.
But you don't have to buy it, right?
No, you're not forced. But I guess some students gathered because they were upset because the blow-up doll says it's like the ideal woman doesn't talk. Punch it to inflate it.
Okay.
So
it's a little jokey.
Right.
But I mean, guys have had to walk past fake dicks their whole life, and we don't get mad about it.
Shut it down. I don't like this.
And you can punch it if you want.
That giant plastic cock is so much larger.
Why put the giant veins in it, too?
We had that going for us.
That's the one thing that we knew was ours. Well, they also have the young ladies of Syracuse of asking them to get rid of the kiss cam. Now, first of all, no one hates a kiss cam more than me.
I know.
And only because of the fakeness. But this is what the ladies bitched about. They said that a lot of people, they'll just put it on people. And when they don't kiss, the people around them mush their faces together, forcing the girl to kiss someone she doesn't know.
Do it! You're on the cam! Just do it!
You heard Army Man. So
it shouldn't just be women who are upset about this. Men should not want to be forced to kiss anyone they didn't.
I'm against kiss cam mascots, fucking
cheerleaders.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, cheerleaders serve no purpose at all to me. I'm going to say something. I do like to bet when the hot dog is running against the fries.
That's fun.
But I'm a gambling sort. I like to have a little money going around during the game. I remember when we used to watch spring training games, everybody would just show up with loose cash, and we would bet on every pitch.
Oh, that's great.
Every pitch. And money would just go around our section because it would be ridiculous stuff like ground ball. What are the odds? Somebody give me on a ground ball, 3-1. All right, I'm in for $5. Let's go ground ball. And nothing to do with the game whatsoever.
I like really this.
Fun,
yeah, it really started ironic and then became a problem.
You just really tickled Stanley's fancy just now.
Like
Wait a
that.
second.
He'd show up at fucking Caterpillar races if he could lose money on it.
So it's good to carry around dice. You never know when a game's going to break out.
Do you really?
I used to actually just carry around 3 dice with me just in case.
So you were your own floating fucking crap game.
Play a little CeeLo. That was a good time.
Except for no one taught you how to float.
Nope.
He doesn't swim.
Nah, don't swim. Didn't listen to the Beatles till I was 18 years old.
So weird.
Of a bizarre.
You still never got a working driver's license either, right?
No, I have a learner's permit.
You don't have a learner's permit. They run out.
It's clearly expired.
A learner's permit does not work forever. Now you're just looking at it. You didn't know this?
All right, I got about 6 months left on this thing.
When did you get it?
I had to get it from when I got to get a passport. I got it like 5 years ago. It's just about to run out.
I thought a learner's permit was like 6 months. Why would they tell someone to take a good 5 years to learn?
I think I took the option of it not expiring longer than I thought it would.
If you're driving around still trying to get the hang of it after 5 years...
You need to be off the road.
Yeah, seriously. I wouldn't even let you go into a rest area. What is it, Dan?
Ronnie B.
Yeah.
Hey, how about New York, New York?
If you happen to live, I guess, in the tri-state area.
I think that's a good one. I think a lot of people know that one.
Well, I know you're right. We all do know it,
but
There's
I don't
no
know
doubt
if it's.
about it. But you don't. Does it ever even get played on any radio station?
No, I don't think. I mean, it. If you live in New York, New Jersey, you're going to be here.
Yankees game.
Yeah, you're going to hear it a lot. But I don't think people in other places just know this song again.
What do the Mets play?
I don't even know. I can't remember when the last time they won.
They play the New York Dolls.
Yeah.
The entire catalog.
They should play Back in the New York Groove. Stop typing stuff up. You're driving me fucking nuts over there. You're not a fucking VJ anymore. Those days are over.
Not like you used to be.
Me and Jesse on MTV.
Jesse Camp.
Jesse Camp. There we go. Guy's last name.
You remember that short run that he had?
Oh, yeah.
There's a thing up here where white people are sending their... Oh, I got two stories mixed up together. I was going to say white people are sending the Redskins off. But that's actually true, too.
They probably are.
Well, we're talking about music, and Stanley sent the story in, but you said the streaming costs for All About That Bass
Yeah.
were what?
Okay, so that streamed 178 million times. And the co-writer of the song made about just under $6,000 off of the 178 million.
What?
Now, why do other people tell me that they're YouTube millionaires?
That's what I've always heard.
But I hear it from the people who, those kids that do stuff on YouTube, they claim that they're millionaires.
But they have sponsorships, right? Like they have money that's coming in.
Yeah,
not
but why
from...
wouldn't somebody sponsor fucking All About That Bass?
Apparently,
the bass.
This guy was in front of Congress talking about this, and they said that every million streams you get $90 is what the figures he threw out.
Wait, that's terrible. That's awful.
I've got to come up with a way for these guys to get paid. I'll call it radio. By the way, you've got the wrong time on here for Big J, right? You got him a half an hour later than I thought.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
For both of them?
For both of them, that's incorrect. Yes, it's a half hour earlier.
Who typed this up?
I did.
You're the executive producer, right?
Yes, I am.
Why do you type stuff up? You can't spell, and you don't check yourself. You're going to wreck yourself.
I feel like I've already rickety wrecked myself.
I can't get that Alan Stone out of my head today. That's driving me crazy during the show. Even hearing about all these other big songs. Joe and Dan are going to see Brian Regan this weekend. That's the dating couple that we have. I think it just goes to show, that I've put a couple on the show. Makes me cutting edge. I'm trying to talk them both into going trans.
Please,
wow.
Please.
Both of them, though.
Yeah.
I hope there's a kiss cam.
From what I understand, you're also going to be doing social media for the iBang?
Yeah, we'll be writing it up, and we'll be tweeting and taking photos and multimedia experience.
Will you Periscope?
I don't have Periscope. Joe, do you?
I'll get it before Saturday, yes.
So
Meerkat.
you might Periscope.
You will Periscope them.
Yeah, Meerkat. That's another one, too. We'll be meerkatting.
Pick one, though. We can't do both.
No, Periscope. Is what you got to do.
Periscope, yeah.
So do you know how to Periscope? It's a FaceTime, except for everyone can watch the FaceTime.
And they can send hearts if they like.
I'm going to be sending so many hearts.
I watched, I guess it was 2:00 in the morning, Jenny Hutt masturbate last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
Wish I hadn't missed
Wait,
that.
you know what? I think it was Jenny Hutt. Now I'm not even 100% sure.
Was a redhead.
Yeah. And it was actually on demand on my TV. So I'm not sure. And she was Asian. Which is nuts. Well,
I can't wait to see the kiss cam.
Do you have a Brian Regan song, too, that you can sing on Periscope?
Yeah, I can do that on Periscope, yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow morning, try to Periscope, and then we'll watch you from in here. We'll watch your Periscope and see how it goes. But yeah, kiss cam on it. People love to see men kiss.
Yeah.
It's really, really big.
It's really so big.
I want to see hickeys afterwards.
Women love to watch that. They'll go out to titty bars, as they call them, and they'll give extra money when the men make out.
Yeah, that's what we're into.
I don't know whether I got that backwards again. It might be the same Jenny Hutt problem I had earlier. Have you been on the Periscope yet, Chris?
I was on a Periscope with Louis J. Gomez in Montreal.
I saw that Periscope.
He does not stop Periscoping.
It's constant. He loves it.
I saw a Periscope. Well, here's what he's doing. Look, if her mother and I get a call from Gail, it means that she's walking the dog or going to the store.
Yes.
And this is going on for years, where it's just like, if she's en route, she'll use that as call time. That's what Louis J. Gomez does with Periscope. So I watched a couple of his. One, he was looking for weed in some western town that he was nowhere near. And he actually said this: I'm looking for like a strange looking kid, like a teenager. And I'm like, this is not good.
Stop broadcasting that.
And then the other time, I'm watching Periscope, and he goes like this: oh, my friends are already in the sushi restaurant. I'll talk to you guys later. And and I'm like, Gail does that.
Just checking in, everyone, on the internet.
I keep it private, though.
Yeah, well, you should start Periscoping.
I know, maybe I will. I'll Periscope walking my dog, grocery trips. I'm sure people will be interested.
Look, everybody, it's me. Look, guys. But then I watched another one with Louis J. Gomez when he quit Reddit. He goes, look, my fans know how they can reach me. They can tweet me.
All right.
Did he Periscope while he deleted his account?
No, he didn't go that far.
Oh.
But him and Dave Smith were in this. It looked like a weird, cool rooftop thing. I don't know whether they were in Berlin or wherever they were doing it from.
Bombed out is what you could describe it as.
I love Dave Smith because even when I watch the Skanks, he's never a guy who's going to fight over the mic. If someone else is just talking, he'll just sit there. And then when that person's finally done, he'll drop a little something. But he's never going to go, oh my God, I got something I got to share with you. Never seems that important to him. So I want you guys to figure out who's the Louis J. Gomez, who's the Dave Smith of yours.
Definitely.
I think we already know.
Not really.
No, no
We
idea.
don't- Yeah.
Who's the rattlesnake out of you two?
Well, I guess I am because I'm Puerto Rican.
Are you, though?
Yeah.
Would Louis J. Gomez consider you Puerto Rican?
I don't know if he would. I would, personally. My abuela might.
Keep your abuela out of this.
All right. There are a lot of people saying it would take Stanley more than 5 years to learn how to drive. Why is Stanley allowed to report anything? He can't tell time reading a digital clock, much less report facts. These are all true.
I know my numbers, buddy.
You got him.
That guy looks like an idiot.
Why don't you take your test? What's stopping you from that? You afraid you drive into the river?
Periscope your test.
I'll just fucking jerk the wheel. Is this how we're supposed to do this?
AJ was very excited to hear Littlest Hobo mentioned, and me get the beat down for Barry Crimmins for not realizing it came out before then came Bronson. People are bringing it up yesterday to me. I understand I'm seeing Guinness Book of World Records. I just can't tell you. I don't remember a time in the last 25 years I've heard Yesterday played on any radio station I've ever heard. All right, Dead Cat Skippy says GNR Paradise City. That's not even the top fucking 5. Now, Sweet Child of Mine is never off the fucking radio.
No.
By the way, played by a lot of country bands now, too.
I
and remember,
believe
we
it.
saw a ska band playing before.
Yeah, it's a very melodic song.
It's a much loved song. Much loved song. Jay says Love Shack by B-52s. That's
Can't be more than any.
I mean, I like it, but I think Rock Lobster gets played at more weddings. James Brown, I Feel Good. That's pretty damn good. What do you think out of all what's the most played Supreme song?
Ooh.
I know my favorite.
What do you think it is?
I'm not sure. I mean, my favorite goes a little deeper than most people. What do you got?
I think Baby Love.
That's a great song too, though. I just think maybe Love Child.
Yeah, but that I think Baby Love gets played more than Love Child.
But the only song I truly love by them is "Itch in My Heart." That fucking song kills me.
Yeah.
Fletcher says "Hell's Bells" by AC/DC. At least the beginning of it, Fletcher, gets played at every football game.
Got to pump the crowd up.
But also the beginning of "Welcome to the Jungle" gets played at every.
They start playing the whole songs and just not have any commentary. It's just a soundtrack over there.
I just hate that they're played no matter what stadium it's in. I wish people would have their own songs, you know? That's what bothers me, the whole thing. I don't want to hear "Welcome to the Jungle" and it used to be just Cincinnati, and that makes sense because they have a jungle cat representing.
Then they tried to change it to that Roar song from Katy Perry, and everyone flipped out.
Yeah, I don't blame them. That doesn't fucking fire people off of football.
Terrible.
Do you ever watch the Premier League and they sing crazy fucking songs? Like, you'll just be watching the game and you'll hear the entire crowd without music playing first, and they'll start to sing "You'll Never Walk Alone." And you're like, why are they saying this?
They have like bunches of songs like that they go to.
Bizarre songs.
But they're always weird, yeah.
Yeah, they're always. Fuck. There's one that fucking sings "I'll Forever Be Blowing Bubbles."
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Chelsea,
nuts.
Yeah.
You follow these things?
Yeah, I know Chelsea and I know Liverpool, which is "You'll Never Walk Alone." Yeah.
Why do they sing that song? That's the fucking MS song by Jerry Lewis. It's a sad song.
Lots of people were happy that the soccer game's going on.
Yeah, they're bizarre. And they, like, over here, they start to play the song first, and then people join in. Over there, I don't know how these songs break out.
Maybe they're better fans. Or they're more organized.
Why you always got to turn against us?
More organized.
You hate
fans.
the United States.
Why
Love
do
the
you?
U.S. Love the U.S.
Really?
Treat me very well.
Then why would you turn around and
Treat me
say
very well.
that the other things are better?
Maybe just the fan aspect of that of Britain is is the soccer. Soccer fans are just more hardcore.
Oh my God! It took him that long to say the same thing that he said earlier.
Yeah,
and then he tried to redo it. I just mean it from a fan aspect. That's what it means when they're better fans. Stoke City sings Delilah. Now they must be in Wales then, right? To start don't I should fucking seriously, I'm gonna fucking pull your goddamn computer. I'm literally gonna pull it. But isn't that crazy that you would just hear them singing that shit?
Yeah, I don't know. But how do they agree on it? Like, there has to be a conversation, no? Where they're going,
I don't know.
Let's get into this really weird song. What do you think it should be?
All right, we're going to break here. Do we need to break first?
Yeah, we should break.
Coming up next, Big J. Okerson is going to be here, and Mr. David Tell. That's great. Back in a couple seconds, and we're just going to be laughing and laughing. It's the Bennington Show. I like a comedian that has you gotta ride the board over there, Chris. I like a comedian that has their own theme song.
Is that my theme?
Yeah, that's your theme.
Oh, wow.
That's from your TV show.
That was from the Comedy Underground show that Jay Okerson was on.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
It's a one-season wonder. That's the new, you remember the one-hit wonders?
Yeah.
Like Dizzy or, all those 70s songs. Now it's the one-season wonder.
I actually prefer a one-hit wonder than somebody who hangs around and keeps putting out more and more music.
Right.
Because this way you could just have a favorite song.
The Year of the Cat, right? Al Stewart. That's a good one.
Well, see, that's
I always think of that.
See, Al Stewart put out like 12 albums that are beloved by people who know him. But then people, like, there's some people who think Jethro Tull just did Bungle in the Jungle and nothing else. So there's a lot of those people that would be album oriented first. We were actually having this conversation before you got here. What song do you feel like you've heard the most in your life? Because they just allowed, they did away with the copyright for Happy Birthday.
About time.
Yeah, about time. So now Sing it anytime you want.
Yeah. That must have been I would love to have been in the court there. That's like a Miracle on 34th Street. Santa walked in. Please, everybody.
Everyone's crying.
Is that why the Pope's here? He said, now I will come.
They broke into Happy Birthday right there in the courtroom. People singing it and crying. It's like the way that we all felt the night Obama was elected over in Jay's neighborhood. We just went crazy that night.
We'll all remember we were here, guys.
Yeah. Jay, by the way, you've got I'm going to guess, a hip-hop dating show that's taken the internet by.
It's cut like a hip-hop dating show a little bit. It's a little MTV 1997.
I love it, though. Are you enjoying it?
It's fun. Yeah. We only did 3 episodes. So the other 2 are going to come out, I guess, every Monday they'll come out. Mm-hmm. But it was fun to do, yeah. I mean, it was easy work.
But you went from hip-hop guy to heavy metal guy, now back to hip-hop guy.
No, never.
You were drinking a 40. You were drinking a 40.
Well, it was more like, it was backhanded racism to the guy.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
But you pronounced it 40. So.
It is an election year.
It's an election year.
My sarcasm
so late. Is my sarcasm not coming through on those chugs?
What is it again, Jay? You told me about this, but
I tag along on dates and try to make weird stuff happen as much
just
as
like
possible.
real life.
Like a C block.
Yeah.
A helpful
like a
C block.
Yeah.
They actually wanted at one point, they were suggesting the idea of me kind of like doing that, like trying to get myself laid. So I was like, that doesn't really make sense for the show.
Yeah.
But it's, we did 3 episodes. They're all like mismatched couples kind of on purpose, see if we can make it happen.
Is that racially mismatched? Are they all going to be like this one was?
No, they're not all racial. Oh, I guess, yeah. 2 of them are racially mismatched.
I like that.
And then
How do I get on
the third
this
is
show?
the 2 whitest people you've ever met.
Yeah.
Like literally
But one Catholic, one Jew.
Yeah.
What? By the way, the Pope is coming. If you have any other salacious or scandalous stuff to do, 5 o'clock is the cutoff.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be here at 5.
I'm very excited about it, though, because I couldn't get a cab here today. But I walked past, and I'm not kidding when I say this, 1,000 cops at different places between the east side and here. So it's very exciting to see who they care about. You know what I mean? Like, we could use these cops a lot, you know? Because you don't see beat cops anymore. You know, I don't see a cop just walking down the street checking on people.
No.
But they're out there today.
This is what they've been training for. This is it.
This country can't take the publicity of an attack on the Pope.
Yeah, no, really. That would be the worst.
Yeah.
And, the cool thing about the Pope is, first of all, he's an amazing, he is the best Pope because let's pretend you're the Pope.
Okay.
And I'm me. And I come up, I want you to pray. He'll go, no, you pray for me.
Right.
He immediately cut you right off.
Yeah.
That's great. You don't even get to get your prayer out. You're like, well, all right. Well, then I guess, my dad in the hospital can wait, but I'm going to pray for him. And then when he comes, he's frugal.
Yeah.
He's saving his money because he knows this can't last. Yeah. And then he stays wherever he goes. He stays with Cardinals. He stays he just shows up like a bad sitcom.
Couch surfing.
Bags.
Yeah.
Just got a rolling bag. Can I stay here? And they're like, oh, the boss.
You guys should actually steal this and then say the audience will know you tell me a joke. When they tell yeah, you tell me something good. But this you heard who's opening for him in Philly, right? There's going to be 1.5 million people doing a set, and I'm not making this up. Jim Gaffigan is going to do Time before the Pope comes out.
Was that the Pope's pick?
I don't know, but it was somebody tied in.
In the era of Louis C.K., Jim Gaffigan?
Yes.
That's
good
great
job,
for Jim.
Yeah.
TV Land's got that long reach, I didn't realize.
It should, he has mentioned that he's Catholic, and no one does that anymore. Well, no one does it in a positive sense anymore. So they're thrilled. They're thrilled to have him.
So how does he get paid? In prayers? Do you think he'll finally pray for him? That's where the prayer bank opens.
I actually sent this over. I said, I'm not going to tell you how to do the show, but after Gaffigan goes off, just break for 15 minutes. Don't bring the Pope up right after. He can't follow that kind of heat.
Let the people get a hot dog or something.
I bet you they're going to throw a left turn at poor Jim. Like, whoa, can you do this in Latin?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, what?
I think
my timing in Latin's very good.
Philly's so afraid of what the animals of that city are going to do to the Pope, that they're shutting down all the bridges.
They're shutting down everything.
Well, they should shut down the bridges anyway.
Yeah,
those things are
one's
old.
in or out.
Yeah.
Turn into a prison colony.
Yeah, they had to blow the bridges. This is what
the
they
Australia
should do.
of America.
Yeah, like people are like taking the whole week off because they cannot get in.
My stepfather had to sleep at work for 3 days.
Really?
Yeah. For 3 days.
What kind of work does he do?
He works he's a respiratory therapist.
Okay, so that's there at least.
Yeah,
that's nice.
These people are going to be breathing for 3 days.
Yeah. But I think if I was, if I'm the Pope and I'm following Gaffigan, I would definitely drop in my own Hot Pockets reference a little later on.
That's a good idea.
Because you know how like some comics, they'll call back a set from earlier, and then the crowd is just so enthralled. You know what I mean? Like, that's not even from you.
Or just a subject callback where he's like, Jim was up here talking about marriage. I think marriage is actually...
That's going to be put that as the hardest gig.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really, that's the hardest.
Yeah.
That's like every corporate gig you've ever done
put
times
together.
a million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do they do that? Does, like, the Swedish guard, the guys that dress up in those weird outfits, do they, like, kind of escort them around?
I guess. I mean, this is going to... Yeah, this is going... But Philly is way more pumped about this than New York.
Oh, yeah.
Because they got the big Sunday show.
Yeah, they do.
And that's what that...
They earned it, though.
Yeah. They're such great people. But in the church business, a Sunday afternoon is it's a Saturday night comedy show.
Sure.
It's the same exact thing. Yeah, so when you get something like that, Philly couldn't be prouder. By the way, you were speaking, did you see the Philly fans going nuts at the team when they lost the other night?
No.
I don't know whether we put it up or not, Chris, but they did not handle it as well as you like them to. David Tell is in with us. He's performing at Bananas Comedy Club in New Jersey, September 26th, and then headlining Caroline's Comedy Club Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes.
Which is the
second holiest day of the year.
It is, but it's also the weekend that everybody comes home for.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time that you see.
It's when I do my family-friendly act.
Yeah,
nothing like Jim and the Pope. That duo out there.
Jim and the Pope.
Do you think he'll take Jim on tour with him?
If he's smart, yeah.
Yes. Jim, do you mind? We're going to do an orphanage somewhere in Romania. Could you
Right.
do something for me?
It's the way Brian Regan takes out Joe Bolster. Those two, they work together so well.
That's a great. Brian is doing like a live
Radio
did you
City.
Talk about this already?
Yeah.
Oh man, how cool is that?
Well, he was in earlier this week. He's really pumped up for it. But I think this is the night that Regan just changes his act, goes in a different direction.
He goes rogue.
It's a heel turn. It's a heel turn, guys.
Patton Oswalt, who's probably not only one of the funniest guys and smartest guys in comedy, but also like I would say one of the biggest supporters of us and the scene. And you can't thank him enough for that because, just when you think like you're kind of out there like alone and no one gets it, like Patton does. And he wrote this thing about like Regan doing this thing on Saturday and like live comedy, no matter, even if it is like, not, blue or X-rated, it's still a difficult thing because that's it. That's the thing. And I love the idea that they're doing that.
Well, as well as you hope it, you think Brian will do, there still is the chance
that he might.
Technical problems or just be having an off night, which would be thrilling to see. In a stand-up special, just the thing of like Regan's going like possibly like really, you're not even getting that. That's lost on you people. It would be fantastic. So I think first of all, I can't believe it's not done more where it's not.
But they're afraid.
They've never done it before.
Networks are
Ever.
afraid.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, they're going to go rogue or something, a bear attack.
Snaps an audience. So why don't you take your cunt wife and get the fuck out of here?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a live show here, you prick. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, there is also that chance that somebody will, Westboro Baptist church it and just scream shit out. It's amazing.
Regan just has to put the boots to them.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. Yeah, the audience.
Well, that's also Radio City. It's like, 5,000 people? I mean, it's a ridiculously big place, so anything dumb can happen there.
I think he's going to walk right through it, no problem. I really do. I really just do think it's going to be no problem.
How many times have you heard, Brian struggled with that?
This is
yeah.
This is our Mars mission. We all have to gather around it.
He'll have like 8 great comedians just sitting there. Yeah, it looks like he's got it
Bring
so
it in.
far.
Sweat. throw some props at him.
He'll shoot back to a beautiful blonde woman holding a baby. There's Daddy. There's this Daddy's doing it tonight.
Brian is like, people like the fact that like, you must have seen him like multiple platforms over the years. It's like I've never seen anybody consistently kill like that. So like just in terms of like he's our most consistent guy.
You know what was really interesting though? Like when he lived in New York, I'm like, well, so what was your clubs? Because I feel like if you're doing something like Radio City and it's live, some part of you got to go, oh man, if I would have known this in '87 or whatever. But he never passed at any of the clubs. In New York, he never was a regular. He brought up some club I don't even think exists anymore. I can't remember what it was.
Like Catch a Rising Star or something.
No, nothing of that magnitude. Nothing.
Like Jimmy Ha-Ha's or something.
Yeah, something.
Like some cyber pips.
Yeah.
Pips. Mm-hmm. No, you sure? I always thought I saw him like at the Comedy Cellar or at Stand Up New York.
He might have done that after he got more established, that clubs were like, oh, you're doing Letterman, we'll be glad to have you here. But like when he came here in the 80s, he said he couldn't get past. And even at Jay's favorite club on the Upper East Side.
Comedy Strip Live.
Yeah, where you're banned for life.
Show 7 days a week.
Maybe the Pope can help you get back in there.
Oh, you think? Fuck you, Richie Tinker. I'm over for the Pope
grabs
now.
your little hand and he walks up to the club.
Look, I'd do anything else for you, Father, but not this. You can't ask this of me.
I hate to let down the Pope.
People are writing, where's that Patton Oswalt? The iBang is linked to it if you go over there.
Patton is awesome.
He wrote some nice stuff about Brian, and of course, like anyone else who understands comedy, Mr. David Tell also is mentioned in there. Dave, you can see at Bananas Comedy Club in New Jersey, and then also headlining Caroline's this Thanksgiving.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you should be.
I really should.
Yeah.
This is it. Honestly. I used to be there Christmas week where Jay and I, right, Jay, didn't we do that show together?
Yeah, it was after the day after Christmas to New Year's Eve. We would do Caroline's.
That was like the best week.
Oh, it was the best.
I'm back to the second best week, Thanksgiving. I'll be playing Arbor Day by next year. I'm on the outs. Have you headlined there now, right?
Caroline's? No, not yet.
What?
Still not yet.
Richie's dropped him from every club in the city. You heard me, Lewis. I don't want that brick getting on anywhere.
The virus has spread. Why Caroline's now?
Well, so what do you... Oh, right. You don't headline in the city yet?
I think they're concerned about my 400-seat ticket sales per show. It's... No, I spoke to Lewis. He went to... Yeah, actually, what was funny was I spoke to Lewis. He was telling me how he wants me to headline a date. And then 5 minutes later, he caught me and Chris smoking pot in the bathroom.
Okay. Didn't even go outside?
Wow.
We specifically went in the bathroom to not do it outside.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. He wasn't mad about it or anything.
Yeah.
Well, he did come in. He was like, oh, smoking pot. And then he left.
Well, Jay.
Now, what was the event that you guys were getting high for?
Not having a real job.
I think it was post you're unmasked at Caroline's.
Oh, I didn't even know that you were there that day.
No, I bumped into you guys afterwards.
Oh, that's
remember?
Right. You came after the fact.
And then
but
I
you
shanghaied
didn't go to
Chris and made
Anthony's party there.
No, I had to do a show. I was doing a bonfire.
Oh, you were doing bonfire. I saw Louis J. Gomez just holding court there.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever he
he's
goes,
in the mix.
holds court now.
I love Louis.
Yeah.
I wonder what his take is on the Pope.
Well, you know
what's
how
a Pope?
Hispanics are. I mean, they really love the Pope.
They do, yeah.
He's not that kind of Hispanic.
Everybody's at the end, they all are. They'll all cut their feet in their hands and they march through town with sticks.
I wish Louis was more Hispanic. Hey, mommy.
Yeah, I love that, though.
Hey, Poppy.
I was saying this. All I see him now is on Periscope. He periscopes constantly.
I know. Why do you watch it? You're feeding the beast.
Yeah, I'm just giving him hearts. I'm just giving him hearts. The stupider he gets.
I don't even know how that looks. Yeah, and then the problem I hate with the thing I hate with Periscope is people involve you in it like against your will. They're doing
they walk up
like, oh, look who I'm with, huh?
Yeah,
like,
sure,
come on, dude. Like,
Bonfire airs Monday and Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock. You guys are loving it, right?
Loving it.
Every time I turn it on, I can hear it's a fun, happy show. You guys are you're having a good time with it. But then you do Legion of Skanks. That's a dark, ugly show.
It is.
End times.
It is.
That's Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So you're just constantly doing radio and podcasting now.
And the SDR show still.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you in your history of radio, your long career. I think he's pulling in maybe 30 hours of radio a week. Is that too much for my son?
I think it's coming out of the gates a lot. I like to see you play some music. Break it up with some tunes.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah,
we do a little bit. We play our bump. Well, but the.
No, but I like
the rejoin.
How about a little song called Happy Birthday? It's up for grabs.
Oh.
Why don't you guys drag it out through the gutter?
I can officially cover that now?
Yeah. No one can
With
stop
my punk ska band?
They should have taken the rights to Happy Birthday and like given it to some weird, either some Big Oil, something like that. Every time you sing it, you're digging a well, killing owls.
Or the Westboro Baptist Church. That's who should have bought Happy Birthday. You got to go to them for it every time you want to deal with it.
I'm starting to get into them more and more. Like, at first, I didn't like them, but now I'm starting that guy probably is in hell. After a while, I'm like, I think they're right. I don't agree with them about everything, but a lot of these people are in hell.
Have you ever watched that Louis Theroux guy who goes and does documentaries? Rockumentaries, indeed. He did one where he embeds himself with the Westboro Baptist Church for a while, and he just observes it, and they let him do it for some reason. People who are over the top crazy really don't think they're saying crazy things to you.
Yeah.
I used to have that woman on from there all the time, and I'd just be like,
the lawyer lady?
Yeah, I would just let her go on, and I'd just be stuff and I would just say to her every once in a while, so you're saying God loves us all? And she goes, no, I'm not saying that at all. The listeners used to be so mad at me, but I thought it would just be so great just to let her talk for a while.
Well, you always had her coax the kids to sing songs.
Oh, yeah, they would sing great parodies about who's burning in hell, like the Pope is, the Pope is a gay or whatever. But, and then at the end, she would always be like this, okay, thanks for having me on, honey. At the end of it, she would be like a person for a second.
Yeah.
It was always, I just think it's wrestling. I don't think most people believe the shit that they say.
Even the people that are in it.
Yeah.
That deep.
Yeah.
They just go home from it and they're like,
well, I grew up Catholic, and if you're not Catholic and you went to church with us, you would think that we were nuts. And our friends would say stuff like, hey, are you really not? Oh, no, don't even pay attention. We just go Sundays and then we go home. It's not a big deal to us. But when you're the outsider, you think, oh, my God. I remember if kids would come in and they would see the Stations of the Cross, which is all around the church. You just see Christ being beaten up and bleeding, and, there's statues. And they would look at it and we're like, oh, don't pay attention to that. It's just a thing that we do here. It's not a big deal.
But they live it beyond the church, all day. They're like an all day show. It's kind of like we said how I think I said this to you before. Larry the Cable Guy has to be Larry the Cable Guy 24/7 now. He's sold the character to the world that he has to. It's the same with Dice Clay had to be Dice Clay all the time.
He drops it in a heartbeat.
Who?
Larry. He's not at all. He doesn't do that.
Does he?
Yeah.
I picture he's just like a Target wearing sleeveless flannels.
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. He doesn't
just tucks his shirt right in. Goes right back to it.
He's not even Southern. He doesn't give it. If he comes out in public, like Hulk Hogan, you got to do it. You know what I mean? But then when he's with his friends, he's just like, oh shit, Nebraska lost again last week. I can't believe it. I don't think. I think show business is show business, no matter what it is. I think the Pope even is going to get, with his friends later, go, how did that go? Did I do all right? You know what I mean? It felt like I had him for a while, and then I heard somebody talking in the back. It pisses me off.
What is on his rider? What is his backstage like? Go ahead.
He doesn't wear the funny hat anymore. He just wears the small one. He doesn't go
travel hat.
Yeah.
It's an away game. He's playing the big US of A.
What am I, white this week? Is that where I go with this?
He must be a little bit I mean, come on, America, we have it pretty good here. Our prayers composed when he's going through some sewer village. It's like, oh, so what? You need Wi-Fi at your business? Is that really? Okay.
That actually proves that, I'm sure if people just say to themselves, if I just had running water, I'd be happy. Yeah. But we're proof that that's not true.
No.
That getting things doesn't make you any happier, Because, I'm sure that you take the most successful person we could ever think of, and they're pissed. Like Steve Jobs, a perfect example. You couldn't do better than him.
Yeah.
And yet he got home and like, this fucking place drives me nuts.
But he was like an Amadeus, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, he was like this kind of tortured genius.
Yeah. But I think everyone is somewhat tortured,
I haven't seen that documentary yet about what's the name? Jobs.
Yeah.
But I saw the one about the guy who invented Nathan's. That was great.
What was his home life like?
Well, no one thought of brown mustard before him.
He was great.
Tired of coming home with bright yellow fingers in the corners of his fingernails.
There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
You know, like the really old, like, I hate to like take on your little Easter parade here, but the Jews, like the turn of the century Jews, where it's like, they just worked.
Right.
They like lived where they worked. They like had children right where they worked. Like that kind of stuff. Like that kind of Hester Street kind of Jew. I love that. That's who he was.
And then, oddly, his kids just, bought a swimming pool and partied and did coke and never cared. That's what always happens. You work it, and you hand it over to someone, and they don't give you shit. Well, normally you hand it over to a kid, they can't keep it going, and then their kids just fucking shoot heroin and rape people. You're just like, okay.
That's what you do when the money gets handed to you.
Do you think... I would love to have money handed to me. I'd be so fucking happy.
Yeah, but you already have a work ethic.
No. I've been in radio my whole life. This is the same as if we met at a diner somewhere.
Fair. That's true.
So if I had a lot of money, I'd go, why don't you go, hey, I'm buying lunch. Pick up Dave, and we'll have a great time today.
Yeah, it's really, it's like when you take like something that's not really a job and you make it a job. That's like what comedy is. Like, it's not really a job, and then you make it like this job, with like, you have to be there a certain time, you have to do that. Yeah, that's weird.
I always think the weird thing about comedy is that you have a certain amount of people who hung on street corners and they were the funny guy and they know how to tell stories. And then there's another class of people who just sat around studying like Steve Martin, and they thought about it a lot, and they didn't even make their friends laugh anywhere.
Yeah.
And then one day they're like, I think I have an act together, and they go up and start doing it. I find that so bizarrely
it's technician
different.
versus organic, though. But you could see it. I mean, the people like, there's a lot of really like funny comics who off stage are like just a dry hump. I mean, it is.
Oh yeah. I would agree 100%.
They don't get into that on Last Comic Standing. The off-stage persona.
But which do you
lunch dates?
For oddly, it's almost like you respect the guy who was just born with a natural talent more than you respect a person who works really hard to entertain people.
Because you're viewing that person more like an actor, right? Like somebody who plays a character of somebody who's funny as opposed to someone who's
But nothing makes organic talent more bitter than somebody who works really hard and just fucking zips right by you.
Yeah.
Well, I usually feel like it's the other way around, where it's like the guy who's naturally gifted or the lady that's naturally gifted is kind of like we'll slowly move forward, whereas we'll move forward quicker than the guy who's struggling, the joke writer, the guy who hasn't really figured it out yet. And there's no, there's no guarantee that there's, like a win at the end for anybody. But, the guy who like is the classic joke writer, or the guy who's not like low key, really nothing, like there's nothing exceptional about them. I'll put myself in that boat where it's just like, you just tell jokes, and then there's somebody who like, whatever, like has a, whatever. The guy who goes up there and has the funny walk, or this, like the weird background. That guy usually gets more play from the industry. But I never care about that. Like performance to me, I think is like is important more important to the audience than it is to me as a comic. I appreciate the joke writing.
But you're talking more about like zany versus joke writing. But you are
no, I like joke writing.
But you're an example though of like organic talent though. Like you're a funny person.
No,
off
I'm
stage.
What I am, Jay, is a leader. Maybe it's the debates. I'm trying to work that word into my. No. I think that like I'm lucky because like I bombed a lot, and now like I'm kind of like. I kind of know what I want to do and don't want to do. Whereas a lot of people starting now, like there's all the pressure of first being funny, and then also like these stakes of things that they want to do. It's like I've kind of done all the stuff I want to do, so now it's really just for me and I guess the fans. So well,
that's a problem too with early, like, because you can kill with an audience very early in comedy if you just kind of learn the the rhythm and cadence of comedy. You know what I mean? Like,
and some people are born with it. You know, some
That's
people.
true.
Are
but without like solid joke. I have tapes of myself starting very young that the crowd looks like I'm doing as good as I've ever done, but I mean the jokes are just atrocious.
But they were also a younger crowd too. You know what I mean? That's the thing, and I did this from working in radio. That I was young, working to young people, and I'm like, we're going out to this gig, and 1 million people would show up, and they're all like, call this place, and they would all go crazy. But then people get caught up in their life. So a lot of times, if you look at a lot of comedians, by the time that they get really good at it, their audience, their core audience, is somewhat exhausted. You know what I mean? And they're not like, I would like to go out and see him at Valley Forge. On the other hand, I have a TV and an easy chair. You know?
True.
But it's very rare to see any comedian who, you look at I'll say Colin Quinn.
Yeah.
At the point that he is now, the stuff that he thinks about and works on is by far the best he's ever done in his life. You won't say that of any musician. You won't say, in his 50s, whose songwriting ability really kicked in. The musicians are always working from a place of nostalgia. But with comedians, you really do enter another zone at a certain age.
Colin is a great example of a guy who I think is naturally gifted as both a performer, charisma, smarts, all that stuff. Presence, and his intellect and his ability to translate that into like the comedy that he does is exceptional. I mean, like I grew up in comedy watching him. He was a role model to me, and to see like all the different twists and turns in his career, and like how at the end of it, like he's the guy. He's the guy who's doing these one-man shows with something to say. That to me is also very like, I know it's like, yeah, but where's the movie? It's like, like I think that to me as a guy who also is a self-starter and a producer of material, it's like, I really that's like the ultimate props if you ask me. Like,
I agree 100%.
Do his own thing and, like either the crowd. And by the way, this after 5 one-man shows or whatever, like this is the one that's it's hitting. It's really doing well, and it's like way overdue.
We were just talking about Regan. He has his own audience that
built in,
cares about him, who, but oddly, if you're not a fan of Brian Regan's, you probably don't know him. Like people who know him
very true,
are just absolute fans of him. And then you could say, I brought this up even to him. The last time that he did Letterman, and he did 29 Lettermans, more than anyone else. Ray Romano come out, the place went crazy because everything was Raymond, and then Brian came out and had to win the crowd over. Killed, but I'm watching at home going, really? It's going to take you guys 2 or 3 jokes before you trust this fucking guy.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like there was no pop when he brought out Brian Regan.
Right.
Sure.
They were just, bridge and tunnel people.
To speak to what you said before, I think if I had to give an answer for like the music, like why the Stones aren't going to make an amazing new song now, is because I think music is written from struggle. It's why like Guns N' Roses, if they got back together, like who wants to hear a new Guns N' Roses? It'll be okay at very best. Do you know what I mean? Because it's written from like the struggle, broke, kind of grimy, downtrodden parts of life. I think comedy gets better. So when you're wealthy and things are going great, it's hard to write a song about like the plight of anything or anything that deep. I think comedy grows with experience and knowledge. So you need to get older almost to find like the strongest you can be.
And also there's a focus of being like a conversationalist. Like I think that people get better at conversation with
quiet
age
spots and
totally.
Listening. You can listen better as you get older. You're not just screaming all the time.
I think producers can get better, like music producers can get better like, as they get older, like kind of learning everything. But I mean, like as far as like songwriting, like music, like lyrics and stuff, I think it's hard for like.
What about Johnny Cash?
What the fuck? Yeah. But I mean, what the hell?
I'll tell you, those last Johnny Cash albums are
he
my
went
favorite.
to another level of like, wow.
Yeah.
Weren't they covers though, essentially?
Yeah, there were a lot of covers, but you're performing those songs as well. You know what I mean? Like he did some songs that I thought were even cheesy before I heard him do it.
Yeah.
And then I'm fucking sitting and listening to Cash doing it. I was rocked by it.
Sure. Well, he has the talent. I mean, the talent can grow. But I mean, as far as like just writing a thing, it's like I don't believe any kind of sad sex story from like a guy who's I know. You know, he was in a Ferrari accident last week. It's like he's got 3 women pregnant.
With you, Jay? You're now being, let's face it, you're being more well known as a guy who brings races together and gets them to date.
Yes.
On the internet more than your
Gold
Santa.
teeth brothers and big fat booty white bitches.
And this is on ComedyCentral.com.
Yeah.
Right. And when did you actually do these? Was this like earlier this summer?
Earlier this summer, yeah.
Yeah.
I decided for some reason to wear a long sleeve shirt under a t-shirt and some jeans on a super hot day on a roof.
Yeah, I saw you climb up on the roof. I'm like, easy, Jay. Don't.
Yeah. Easy, Jay is right. That was a miserable shoot day.
Yeah.
So they haven't picked up the show yet.
Well, we only released 1 episode so far. So Monday, another one will come out, and then the following Monday. But the response has been good, they said. So they're all funny. They're definitely funny.
Yeah.
Metzger helped out with it, like he would be on set with us all day. And
the Emmy Award winner?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
The Emmy Award winner, Kurt Metzger?
Yeah.
That was great.
Like Jay was hosting, we did the Camden Oddball thing.
Yeah.
And have you ever been to one of these?
No.
I mean, you've been to a million festivals though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what would you describe like when you go out into because you did the 10 show and then you hosted, which was 12 hours of comedy, and he also drove. Like he was driving me. Like that's a long day. So, but I was going to say, what would you describe because you've done like Metal Fest and all that stuff.
Sure.
How is it different like in the Village? Like in the where you can buy a beer and a burger. Like how is the Village? Is it different?
Oh yeah, I mean these are comedy fans essentially.
Yeah.
So I mean they're coming out. They're coming to a festival show with like tucked in shirts and shit. Like you'll never see that. Like Mayhem Fest was just you get to step over people who are just passing out from drunken heat stroke and
there's not a lifestyle for a comedy fan, is there? Like if you go to a metal show, you should look metal. If you go to a hip hop show, you should look hip hop. But you don't go, where's my comedy clothes? I want to go out and see David Tell.
Yeah, there's listen, people just
my
come
black
in,
t-shirt.
People just come in anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's what I will say about it, and it's not about the booking. They have plenty of black comics on the show, but it's the whitest event I've ever seen. Oddball Festival. It's so white.
Right?
The audience. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, what percentage you think of black people go out to, other than like a Kevin Hart show? But comedy is basically
I guess it's true. In Philly, 58,000 people already just saw comedy a week before.
Right.
At Lincoln Financial, Kev did.
How'd he do?
Probably good.
Kevin?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a crush.
I mean, it did it for a special. Yeah, put Keith Robinson out there, which is pretty cool. My sister went to it, said it was unbelievable.
Well, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I am. I added a show at Helium in Philly about a week later,
Yeah.
and I was up against the Made in America tour with Jay-Z. So yeah. So I held my own. All right.
David Tell is with us. You can see him in New Jersey at Bananas Comedy Club, September 26th. Also headlining Caroline's Comedy Club.
I'm excited about that.
Thanksgiving weekend. Well, we all did that Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, that was fun.
We gave away turkey. We gave away turkey and mashed potatoes
at the Hard Rock.
Yeah, and that was the last time I think that I've ever done I saw Tommy Rhodes, but he just checked in the other day. He's in Malaysia.
Is he?
Yeah, he gets further and further away from us every tour. So finally, Mars.
Yeah, he really is.
It's all that. It's all. It's like he's in Malaysia, and then I go to a club, and it's like, oh, he was just here at Hilarities and
yeah, he does both.
Puxatawny, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you're right. He does both.
The Malaysian market is not what it used to be.
Yeah. Most of the people are just like, I don't understand anything that he's saying.
Yeah, I really that really is the wanderlust of him. He really is that guy,
Well, he took his passport out last year. It's like just gigantic, and it's just all beaten up and ugly, and it's 5 times bigger than a passport should be. And like sooner or later, he's got to say to himself, now what? Where can I possibly go? Some hut in Africa.
He's not a married guy, right?
Yeah, he's married now. He married a beautiful girl from, I guess, Holland or someplace like that.
What can drive you to all that international traveling if pussy's not even part of the equation?
Well, I don't know what their setup is, Jay. I didn't ask them.
No, Tom is.
You think she's cool? Look, I don't consider cheating if it's Malaysian pussy.
Yeah.
He's a world travel, but I guess he's probably there for the Malaysian Comedy Festival.
Yeah, they're doing that.
Just for laughs.
Yeah, he's doing a podcast there too. So it's just some local kid, but apparently getting a lot of clicks.
He's
A lot
on
of people
podcast
like it.
network. How does he get that information? He's like, hey, welcome to Malaysia. I got to find some Wi-Fi.
What is your favorite podcast? If you had to choose, if you had to drop everything else, who would you drop?
Of
Who
his
would you
podcast?
keep? Yeah, could you do what? How many podcasts now?
The 2 podcasts and the radio show.
Okay.
And your web series.
Then your web series.
And your volunteer.
Your volunteer work. You're down at hospitals cheering kids up.
What would I drop?
Yeah. You got to
None
be
of it.
honest now.
Yeah, I wouldn't drop any of them.
You have
They're
to.
all-
You have to. Let's
You have to
say
start
Nazis had
honing
your
the
parents.
brand.
Yeah. Nazis had your parents. They came in. They were going to shoot both your parents. Provided that your dad could get home from work.
I didn't hear the episode you did with Lewis, but I feel like this is how you got Lewis. Lewis called me after he left here last time and said, Ron, I don't know how he does it, but he got me to say some pretty shitty things about you.
Is that right?
I was like, no, I'm not going to listen.
All I said was, what's going on with you and Jay? That was it.
That was it?
Yeah.
It was a leading question.
Yeah. Well,
leading
he's
the
got
witness.
19 different podcasts that he does too.
He does. It's hard to say because really the amount of work versus the reward of each one is different. Like SDR show that I do with Ralph Sutton, who's been here before with me.
Yeah.
Like the show does well, and he does 100% of the work. I have to show up for an hour on Monday night and just be funny.
Isn't that how it is with all your partners, though? No matter who you're working with,
Yeah.
they have to do all the work.
No,
You get all the,
no, that's not true at all.
you get all the reward miles.
I definitely do. I do a lot for Legion of Skanks for sure, and I definitely do. And me and Soda are equal parts with the radio show. So no, it's just, like I said, it's hard to say. Like,
And what's that show called again?
which,
The one with you and Dan.
the bonfire.
Oh, that's the bonfire.
Why do you call it that?
Man, we were just spitballing names one day, and that one kind of stuck. That was it.
It really does feel like you're going to tune in and hear old folksy tunes
Yeah.
and cowboy
Oh, we like how
stories.
silly it sounds too.
Yeah.
It's
you have
catching.
crickets and
See, the
and
thing
now
is,
the
What's
story
funny
of
is
the
it is
ghost.
catching though. Like people were on Twitter and social media were actually shitting on the name at first, and people were actually tweeting now. Like the more it's out there, the more
Beatles is a stupid
Yeah,
name.
but that's
Don't
just
worry
you
about
and
it.
Dan
Every
doing
name is,
that,
yeah. But see, here's the thing: you talk around a campfire. Normally, you don't talk about around a bonfire. It's too big.
Yeah,
The
that's either
chatter.
you're celebrating something or you're about to
A
really
bonfire's
change
aggressive.
things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we're like old guys singing doo-wop.
See, a bonfire is what they had in Ferguson after the cops went to.
Yes.
That was a bonfire. Yeah.
We were gonna call it garbage fire.
That's better.
The garbage fire,
Gives it more of an urban element.
You
I
can save
like
that
it.
one for Anthony's
electrical
network.
fire.
Now, what do I got to do to get on any of these shows? I'd love to come in and
Yeah,
I
come
want to
on,
be
let
on
him
the
in.
Skanks. Is the show
Yeah, we'd
But I
love
know
to
one of your
have you, but I
producers.
just don't know if it's gonna work out.
chemistry wise?
Yeah, I just worry
Okay.
about that. A
And
lot
what
of talking
about-
over each other.
Isn't that the one you do in Queens?
We do one in Queens. We did one in the city at Anthony Cumia's studio. He opened up on 35th Street.
Yeah, I definitely got to do Anthony's show.
Yeah,
too.
it's got a lair. It's actually like a Batman's lair.
It really is it's quite a studio.
Yeah, it's nice.
They got a nice little setup over there.
I went in and people were having sex on the floor.
Wow.
I believe you.
Sounds pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Now, is it 5 o'clock yet? Well, the Pope is here. Cut it out. Clamp it down.
Everybody put their beers under the table.
Somebody should try to get the Pope to appear at like a gay marriage bachelor party or something.
I'd love to get. I mean, he's going to be at St. Patrick's. I'd love to have him step by here. It's close enough.
First thing you should do is pick one cardinal out, just slap him in the face, just to show who's boss.
I just want to hear
Daddy's here. Heavenly Father is here.
He's got a bat in his teamwork, right? Teamwork. Standing behind.
in the middle of your
Get
interview.
the nuns out of here. I don't want them seeing this. Get those nuns out of here.
I want him to come in just so in the middle of the interview you can go. It goes. So we're talking to the Pope. He's going to be appearing at in Philly.
That'd
at
be
the,
great. I would.
Give his credits. You have his credit page.
Yeah, I'd love to do plugs for him. Look, I think he's turning things around. This is just my
He's the best
prediction.
Pope.
People love this Pope.
When he leaves and everybody lets this sink in, peace on earth. We're gonna
Here?
yeah, we'll have peace on earth. No, we're gonna get rid of the army.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna get. It's gonna be so nice.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Just from this Pope,
yeah.
who's okay with gay people.
He loves gay people.
He's the best with everybody.
Well, you know what did it for the Pope with gay people was Modern Family. He's like, that show was so funny.
He loves it.
Yet there's always a little part there at the
I thought it was
end.
going to be electronic dance music, but what do I know?
That shit's so good, though. That's your next... You go.
Your next phase.
Yeah.
I cut my hair. I'm getting ready to get into some EDM. All I got to get is some fur boots.
Yeah. You could be the
And a
EDM
vest.
dating guy.
That's right. What's up, y'all?
So this show's doing very well for you, though. The dating thing, it's popping.
Well, we'll see. It's just a, it's a web series.
you're getting feedback, right?
Yes, the feedback, people seem to like it.
Well, the big thing with you and Comedy Central is the hour. That's happening, right?
Yeah.
That's
that
going to
is
be great.
happening.
Live?
That I'm very proud of, Jed.
I'll be doing
live.
When does that happen?
I wish they would let me do it live. That would be great.
That would be like 10 minutes of warnings before they air it. Warning, this is a live performance. You're going to hear.
Yeah. Everyone, seriously, if there's kids, seriously make them leave.
I will not be able to make it, but I want to show up earlier, and I want you guys just to record some cutaway shots for me. So crazy. You got it, buddy.
Nobody around
It's
you
live.
in the audience.
It's live.
That's my buddy up there. That's my guy.
I love you, man.
I think it looks like we're going to be doing it at Webster Hall main room, which is pretty neat.
That's going to be
I'm
great.
excited for that.
I had to break in here with the news thing. The Pope he's saying stuff that I can't believe. He actually just said this. He thinks America should do away with the smoking ban.
Wow.
No,
I didn't know he smoked.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. So cool. Why are we stopping people?
Now he just started another.
Why would we stop people from doing something they want to do?
Is this guy the best or what?
Soft drink.
Has he mentioned women yet or no?
No. He doesn't like women at all.
Yeah, no, but other than that.
Yeah. You haven't even seen a woman anywhere near him.
Stay home, bitches. We're smoking in bars again.
He has
I can't. So I guess he smokes.
Yeah, he smokes, and he feels like he should be able to smoke wherever he wants to.
Wow,
it's insanely great, though.
The Pope's got a cart of duty-free cigarettes.
I wonder who lobbied him for that.
I think he just off the top of his head. You know, I mean, he just was going on things that he thinks would improve things. Yeah.
I hope he doesn't regret it later, though.
That'd be good if he also made fun of us, like, "Oh, I can't smoke here," and then he says like this little, "Oh, can I smoke over here now?" You know, he makes a big deal about how yeah. Oh, you don't want to go to heaven. He's the one who could tell us that, you should get up there because you can smoke wherever you want and you have to smoke.
Now, I'm going to point this out to you because you tried to correct him when he said it. But Dave actually made the point that he wasn't naturally funny. You know what I mean? That he's a joke writer. And then went off in a bit that if I had 10 years to sit and write, I couldn't have come up with, "Can I smoke over here now?"
All right. You deserve better than that.
If Dave told me he was hilarious or he killed, I think he found he had cancer that morning.
Yeah, I like when we do our post oddball.
He goes, they hate me. I'm old.
I'm not relevant.
You said that was great how you broke on that because you were like, you're like, I mean, I didn't kill. I'm like, Dave, I just you definitely killed. You're like, no, I know what a kill feels like, and that wasn't a kill. I go, I'll argue that you have no idea what a kill feels like. Nah, maybe I don't.
I remember all the serious, mental, Olympics is over. Me telling a masturbation joke that didn't get the laugh I wanted. It's not like it was we're in the operating room, we lost a patient. It's like I'm putting him through the ringer to hear about this. One of my stupid jerk off jokes.
It is a weird situation. That Oddball though is hosting the Toronto show was the first one I did, the main stage.
Yeah.
I've only hosted Toronto and Philly for the main stage. I do the side stage hosting. And the first time I was nervous in a while to do the Toronto main stage. Because
intimidating.
Yeah, it's not so much if I was doing a spot, I wouldn't feel so, but hosting it, I'm going out cold all day. Everything I do on that show is going out to a cold audience. And just there's so much great comedy on that
tell
stage.
people who's out there.
On every we had Dave on 3 of them, and one of the main stages I did, Dave was there, but Nick Kroll, Jeselnik, I mean Schumer, they're going nuts for
actually
Aziz.
some really great sets, man. But no, I was going to say
Bridget Everett is. I mean,
I love her,
she was great.
her.
She's gifted.
Although that's not, I'm not nervous going before or even after, I mean, it's hard to go after her because she changes the energy of the room, but I mean, it's not a nervous thing because she's not really doing stand-up. It's not a stand-up thing. It's like
it's an act.
A fucking rock
It's great.
show.
Yeah. Great act.
You know, it's amazing. Yeah, but it's there's so much good on there, and they're really there. The bulk of the crowd is there specifically to see somebody who's going so many hours into this day. So by the time they get to Amy or Aziz, I mean, they've already been
they've
fucking dealing with me for
it really is
5
a good
hours,
tour.
like 5 and a half hours.
Long, huh?
I do an hour and a half small show, side stage show, and then if I host the main stage, that's a 4-hour show.
Jay and Jeff Ross really are the best, like the best guys I've seen do it. You know, like it really is a hard thing to do. And I was going to say, when I said not true, it was because, like you said, you're going up cold. When I saw you at the 10 show, you had your mom and your sister there. Which is like, let's make this even harder by having an immediate family watch.
Oh, no, but my mom is
yeah,
like,
she was cool, but I'm just saying, like, for anybody, like, once you know, like, your family's in the room, it always changes your head.
Sure. Well, having them there for the main stage was more what I was thinking. I was like, man, I don't want to eat shit in front of 15,000 people, you know, for the 700, which is a lot, but, you know, in an outdoor area, it doesn't look as big. But for 700 people, plus my mom just knows, like, I don't know. If I bombed, I would just start shitting on her and making fun of that. Everybody would come around. Well, I would point out that my mom was there.
Enough, though?
You shouldn't bomb. Oh, yeah. She's not shaken by anything I did. I talk about my stepfather's dick being big so much that last time I did Helium, when we came out after the show, people were taking pictures with my stepfather. Like, I want a picture with Big Dick Joe.
Way overdue. Way overdue.
I know. It's fine with time.
Sure.
Come on, take a picture with Big Dick Joe. Yeah, he's got to sleep at work for 3 days because of the dumb Pope.
I love that weirdness, though, of going from one thing, running over and doing the other stage. That's got to be bizarre, man. You know, your energy must change completely.
It is funny. People asking, I don't know. It's so funny because no one who's running the tour knows comedy. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, like Jeff Wills and those guys. But
Jeff knows comedy.
But yeah,
really well.
I mean, I'm not talking about the inner workings, like the worker bee people of that thing. Don't know. So they even asked to go, you going to do like the same stuff on the main stage?
Like concert people that work
yeah,
sure.
Like you're going to do the same stuff on the main stage as you did on the. So I'm like, what? Was that even like a thing? Was that an option? Would they hire anybody who would do that? Just do the same jokes all over again? Hey, I know 1,000 of you or so saw this already, but I'm going to bang it out one more time.
All right, we got to go to break here. Robert Klein is coming up next.
Wow.
You guys are more than invited to stay anytime you want.
An icon, dude.
Yeah.
That's great.
But that's because I just, you know, it's just... This is like Oddball right here. We're just keep bringing out great comics, one after another.
Can I, you know, it was funny, the Bobby Slayton thing. I had a nice weird thing with Robert Klein years ago, too.
Oh, God.
I'll leave.
Fight with everybody. What happened?
He won't remember it all.
What happened?
It was, we did a show, there was a show called New Joke City on the Metro channel.
Yeah.
And it was, we just had I just did something dumb. And he just was like blindsided by it.
What did you do, dude? I want to hear it now. I want to hear comfortability.
We had to do it. I didn't want to do it, but they say you have to do like a little interaction with him before your set, a little speak like back and forth with him. And I told him, I go, well, just tell him to ask me why did I start comedy? And me and Kurt Metzger, it was like, man, we were 21. Mm-hmm. I bought a poster board and we drew a big picture of me. Like sitting on, it was a ridiculous picture of like me, like making a laser beam in space to shoot down all the people who were mean to me in high school. And I made it ridiculous on purpose, and I was like, and he was just completely, he was like, all right. And that's they ended up having to show it like that because we couldn't get a take of him being like, what is this asshole doing? I think I called him Bobby.
Oh God.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
So I'll go.
We're gonna walk you out the back way. Great to see you guys. See
Thank
David
you
Tell.
again.
Oh, anytime, seriously. Bananas Comedy Club in New Jersey, and then Dave is headlining Caroline's Comedy Club Thanksgiving weekend. Big J Ogerson does a million different podcasts. The Skanks, which seriously, if you guys could get me on, I'd love to. I'd love to just do it
How about
once.
that, Jay?
I'm getting so tired of saying open invitation.
Then the
your daughter's even sad at me about this.
No, you want to?
Come on.
Let's do it. The Bonfire is Monday and Wednesday, and then, of course, the Oddball Comedy Tour, and then Lucky Loser online. Go to Lucky Loser.
Do you want to destroy Luis Gomez internally? You come be a guest on the Bonfire,
No. I want that to be about you guys. I told you that's the smart thing. Keep it about you guys for a while. I don't want.
No, we are. No, we're doing.
If I came in there, it would be like the chemistry would be gone.
I gotta go smoke a cigarette with the Pope.
Good. All right, we'll be right back with Robert Klein. Robert has a brand new documentary about his life called "Still Can't Stop His Leg." That's premiered at Sundance.
No.
It's premiering.
No, Harvey Weinstein is going to premiere it, he says, at Sundance in January.
Wow.
It's called Robert Klein Still Can't Stop His Leg.
Yeah, after all these years.
Right.
And, of course, you're also recording an audio version of your book.
Yeah, isn't that funny? A number of years after it was published, they finally got the idea that it would be funny if I read it.
Right.
So it's pretty tedious work sitting in a room, and I kept on saying, "Who wrote this shit?" And I realized it was ours. I had no excuses. Yes, I still can't stop my leg. It's not as funny. Most of my contemporaries have Parkinson's or the symptoms, and they can't stop their legs, and they find it a little less humorous.
Yeah.
To the people.
That bit was mid-'70s, I guess, when you did it? Or
You know what? I think it occurred either the late 60s or early 70s. I first went to the Improv, which was the only club of its kind, in the fall of 66. I was in a Broadway show, my first one, Apple Tree. Took a tape recorder. Actually, the first night I didn't take a tape recorder, and Alan Alda and the cast came to give me support. And I met a guy there who was wearing a black suit and a red tie. And he's pulling at his colors. "I'll tell you, man, you were fucking brilliant, and I'm a tough cocksucker." This was my introduction to a complete stranger.
Yeah, who could that have been?
And he says, "Now you have to come here every night for 3 years to get it right." And he was right. I'm trying to impart that to my son now, who has taken up stand-up comedy. Ray Johnson was the longtime pianist there. My God, he played behind Bette Midler every night. Bette would work on tons of stuff. And I was doing a blues, and I was wailing on the harmonica, and he's playing the piano, and my foot is keeping to the beat, and there were no lyrics. I'm probably 16 bars into it, and being an improvisational ex-Second City person, I said the first thing that came into my head, I go, "I can't stop my leg," and the audience exploded with laughter, and it's... for a guy who's supposed to be a thinking comedian, it's pretty joke. But I've done it on all 9 HBO specials. We did it with Latin dancers in Spanish. We did it with German. We did it all kinds of ways. Broadway, blues. And so, what can I tell you? On my tombstone, it'll probably say he finally stopped his leg.
When you went into the Improv, you said Bette was there at that time. It was more of a variety club, I guess, right? It was after hours Broadway people.
As Bud says in the documentary, Bud Friedman, who owned the club, it was more of a singer's room, and then comedians slowly took it over. Bette came about 6 months after me. She was in Fiddler on the Roof. She was a replacement daughter. And she apparently wore the costume home at night because she was dressed. I mean, she made Gurion look like Brooks Brothers. With these, ethnic shtetl outfits. Yeah. She was an odd kid, Jewish girl from Honolulu. And but Bud Friedman and his wife, then Silver, had an eye for talent.
Sure.
I'll tell you the truth. Here's where you could tell. Bette was not particularly pretty. She had a beautiful body, and she was extremely talented. She certainly wasn't ugly. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the great accomplishments of people like her and Streisand who made their own standards. I mean, they kissed every handsome leading man in Hollywood. But when Bette would get up, when there was a big singer there. His name was Caesar Peters. He was incredible looking, like a 6'6" Sidney Poitier with a deep baritone voice. And he would get up and start singing, and everyone would get quiet. And he sang a song from a failed Broadway musical called The Nervous Set. It's called Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most. You know that tune? No. College boys are writing sonnets like the horse that never left. A great song. And the audience is listening and listening. And about 30 seconds into it, they start talking and looking for their waiters to get an extra piece of bread. Bet would get up there and the people are talking. And she start to sing and they're talking. And within 30 seconds, they shut up and they start looking at her and listening to her. And it was a wonderful, natural test to see who has it
right,
and who doesn't. I believe that Caesar Peters is currently working as a human paperweight
yeah.
in a large corporation.
But yeah, that whatever that charisma is, whatever that thing that draws people in, whether it's stage confidence, but there are certain people who have that thing that can pull people to her. And yeah, I mean, when you know, you're talking about her looks, but when she's performing a song, she's stunning, you know,
Yeah.
still.
Well, she just had it, you know. I mean, she sings much better now. I mean, she's practiced a long time, but you just, you know, there were people there that they got up and they, well, there was a lot. It wasn't exactly an open mic, you know. These were a lot of broad. I remember Liza Minnelli, and practicing a song. Jackie Vernon, who you bear a slight resemblance to.
Jackie Vernon.
he came in with his watermelon.
He used to do his slideshow, remember?
Yeah.
And This Is Us on Vacation.
Yeah, click.
And this is
He was hilarious.
But he didn't write his own. He had these writers, Danny Davis and JJ, this old, very sweet man. Danny Davis was a horrible guy, had a shaved head long before it was fashionable. And he was very mean. And he died an incredible death. He was sitting in a coffee shop, having a bagel and coffee, and a car came through the front window and killed him. Anyway, getting back to comedy.
I can't believe that you remember Caesar Peters. The name.
You remember him?
No, but just the fact that you do.
Oh,
all
there were
these
wonderful
years.
characters at the Improv. Cesar Passanante, who did some hard time for taxes or something. But for me, the fact that the audience was steady, a lot of real devotees of the Improv, made me improvise new material all the time because I'd see the same faces. So I'd try new stuff and keep everybody happy. By the time I was, you know, ready to be on television, I probably had a good 50 minutes or an hour. And Rodney hooked me up with Jack Rollins, who just passed away at 100. They say natural causes. But the man had enemies. Okay? I mean, you know.
But you hadn't done the road before TV. You just did the Improv, working out.
I'd been at Second City.
Yeah.
Yale Drama School, which, you know, my Second City was better, and I got paid for it. Came to New York, got in a Broadway show, did a Ruffles potato chip commercial. Remember, Ruffles have ridges?
Yeah, sure.
I was the father in the animation. And Judy Grobart, my mate from Second City, was the mother. And the animator's baby got the rest of the residuals for going. No kidding. He had this little baby do it so he could collect. Rodney was amazing. He became the sort of unofficial master of ceremonies. And the funny thing about Rodney, we became inseparable for about 10 or 11 years. He was my mentor in every way in terms of stand-up comedy. He had no discipline in his private life. He drank too much. He did too many drugs. He didn't stop smoking cigarettes. But when he had a Tonight Show, he started preparing 2 to 3 months in advance. He would write his jokes on a shirt cardboard until he had what he called a necklace of 19 jokes or so. And he had tried them again and again, tempered with them. When I first met him, he wrote his own stuff, and he was amazing. They were jokes that were worthy of an Art Buchwald or you know, I'll tell you, our schools are unsafe, our parks are unsafe. Our buildings are unsafe, but under our arms we have complete protection. You know? I'll tell you, I played a lot of tough clubs. You know, Aldos, formerly Vitos, formerly Dualdos, formerly Nuncios. I'll tell you, Nuncios was a tough place. You know, when you wanted to Nuncios, you went down 2 steps, physically and socially. I mean, they were literate. They were symmetrical. Anyway, he would kind of take over. And he was a tremendous improviser. He didn't use the word improvisation. He said ad lib. They use the word. But for example, David Fry was a great impressionist. Mm-hmm. He was such a great impressionist imitating other people that he had literally no personality himself. Mm-hmm. He was a very short guy with a terrible Napoleon complex. He even seriously had a gorgeous Buick convertible with a block on the pedal, and people knew it too. Anyway, he was a bad drinker. And somehow he started to heckle Rodney when he was up there, and Rodney, shut up. And he kept on heckling him. He said, "You're a mimic. A mimic is one step above a juggler, okay?" And this really, mimic, he used the word mimic. And this really set him off. He started to scream. And he said, "Don't you raise your voices to me."
That is great.
And yet, when Rodney was on The Tonight Show, and Johnny loved him. In fact, Johnny loved him so much that when he opened the club in '68, I lent him $5,000. I had $11,000 to my name. He'd borrowed from friends from the Franklin National Bank. He kept the wise guys at arm's length. They loved him. They were ready to help him. When he opened that club, Johnny spent a lot of time there. He lived down First Avenue near the UN Towers.
Yeah.
And I saw my idol drunk a few too many times there with Rodney. There was a scene on the sidewalk once where Johnny wanted to walk home. And Rodney says, "Man, you can't walk home. You're drunk, and his car was there. He had a Lincoln and a driver. And Johnny said something like, "Leave me alone or I'll deck you." He said, "What are you, John Wayne?" I'm telling you. And he had the driver, Johnny Carson, walked down First Avenue, which is one way north, and the car and driver just kept on in reverse and followed Johnny along the way. But anyway, when Allie, it's my son, when Rodney was on Johnny's show, he would do his jokes as rehearsed. And then when it was over, he had nothing prepared. Mm-hmm. And Johnny knew it. And I remember one day he did all his jokes. And then Johnny suddenly brings out this question from nowhere, which a person could answer. But Rodney was nonplussed. So for such a great improviser, he was completely and thoroughly rehearsed for those talk show appearances, particularly Johnny. He had tremendous, tremendous discipline. Who else was there? There was, Marvin Braverman, who was a very funny actor, and Jimmy, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Big George, who died from the stickball, not from the Ace Trucking Company. They would come in there and work out.
So you must have known Rodney's best friend, Joe Ancis.
I knew Joe Ancis very,
Joe Ancis
very well.
was supposedly the guy who inspired Lenny Bruce.
Yes, that's not exactly true. In fact, there was a cover story in New York Magazine written by Al Goldman, who had written the definitive book on Lenny. Said, "Will the real Lenny Bruce stand up?" My picture is in the middle of it with Joe and Rodney in Rodney's dressing room. Mm. Joe Ancis was a aluminum siding salesman. He was I guess they would call it obsessive compulsive now. Yeah. He was famous for not being able to touch toilet seats and things like that. And it even told that he used to go to Oscar's, the fish place on the east side, because I'll tell you the truth, I go there because they have liquid soap. Before he would go to the bathroom, he would have to prepare. He would have to get a moist paper towel, go in, take his pants off, take his shirt off, hang him on the inside of the booth. This is, of course, making number 2.
Right, yeah.
And he would then stand on the seat. And he told a story once where he had forgotten the moist towelette. And so he couldn't possibly just use toilet paper like a normal person. He had to go out naked to the sink from the booth. He looked both ways, and he goes to get a towelette to moisten, and of course someone walks in the bathroom and sees him like this. Anyway, he was nuts. He loved opera.
He's a very strange dude.
He was funny, but if you had more than two people, he couldn't do it. So the thing with Lenny was that Lenny was a Jewish boy from Brooklyn. His mother, Sally Mars, used to come to the Improv, and she had been a rounder. I mean, she'd been like an MC at strip clubs and all that. She wasn't your typical Jewish mother, put it that way. And what Joe did was to kind of just, I don't know, remind him of his Jewish roots. If you hear Lenny work, there is a kind of, like Brooklyn. And I think that he had an influence on him as to finding his image, because the earliest Lenny Bruce was an impressionist, was pretty conventional, although hilariously funny.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that he created Lenny Bruce or that he was a great influence, but he was a hilarious character. And the first time I met him, I went with Rodney to see him in Queens, where his office was. The guy worked 2 days a week. He made $2,000-3,000 a week. He sold aluminum siding. If it was a black family, he became black. Hey, man, what a beautiful house, baby. Yeah, man, they bought him. If he was in a Latvian house, oh, what a beautiful place. I never liked those Jews during the war. Anyway, he would do anything to make the sale. So he went out to get some pot, which Joe had, and we pull up, and this guy who I'd never met comes to the door and said, all right, license and registration, let's go. And just like a detective, my heart fell to my pants. And that's the kind of guy he was. At stoplights, if he was next to a police car, he'd go, yeah, fucking captain. And you'd get nervous because he was like a child, daring, and he was such a coward, though. He was afraid to fly. If his little boy was licking, he had 2 children, it never should have had any, but
You're talking about Joe, right? Not Rodney, right? Yeah.
And well, Rodney wasn't the father of the year either. He tried to be, but initially. If his kid had an ice cream cone and he wanted to give his daddy a lick, he'd go, like this. However, he was known to inhabit 8th Avenue. He had special hookers that he loved, and he'd lick anything they had. So he was a contradiction in terms. I'm sorry, your daughter is here, and she shouldn't be hearing this.
No, she's fine. It's 2015. But while you were at the Improv, there's so many great acts that were in the Village, too, at the same time, whether it was Joan, Woody, George Carlin, Bill Cosby. There were so many acts.
Well, actually, they weren't quite at the same time. Here's what it is. Before I ever knew of the Improv, and before I went to Chicago to join Second City with Fred Willard, 50 years ago this past April, March.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We both reported for work. We both got the job together. We had not met before. 50 years ago this past March. Before I went there, I would go to Hootenanny nights, which they had at the Cafe Wah, which Manny Roth owned. He was a lovely man. He was the first person to ever pay me. He gave me $15 to do a show for them. And he said, you know what? You're good enough to go to the bitter end Hootenanny night. It was down there that I met David Fry, who I'd never seen before. I went to the men's room in the Cafe Wah, which apparently was borrowed from an old subway station. It was a small club, and there were about 7 or 8 of these 19th century urinals, huge. Yeah. And I see a guy peeing and going, you dirty rat. I didn't know what the hell he was, and I went to the farthest urinal from him. It was there that I met Richie Havens, which was a long friendship. I would bump into him every once in a while. I loved him. I loved his music. And he was a very humble guy, even when he became a multimillionaire. Still did not get teeth in his mouth.
Right.
And then,
Isn't that amazing? Never had teeth.
He told me, well, at the end, sort of, he told me he couldn't sing properly with the teeth. I never saw George there, but Pryor. I met Pryor there. Pryor was doing the Merv Griffin show. At the time, It was really a hot show. It was syndicated on Westinghouse at the little theater next to Sardi's. And you had Rennie Santoni going on, and he was hilarious. Woody, and I believe he was already divorced from Mary Hartman. What's her name?
Mary Hartman. What was the name of...
Oh, I can picture her face.
I just saw her at Jack's funeral, but that's my problem with being 73.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't. It was a memorial. A month before, 2 months before, we had his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
Louise Lasser.
Louise
She and
Lasser,
Woody
yeah.
would sit there, would be so clever. And Pryor. Pryor was collegiate. He wore white sweaters, and he was adorable. And he was hilarious and extremely clean, you know. So I began to talk to him about it because I had not been on television yet. I was looking forward to it, and he was so generous with information. And he observed that we got our material similarly. I just loved him. I asked him what college he went to, and he looked at me like I was nuts, and he laughed for 5 minutes. He was brought up in a brothel. Then there was an incident where he slapped his girlfriend in front of the Improv on 44th, and her lip was bleeding, and I felt awful. I said, hey, man, I'm like a middle-class dude. I can't take that kind of... And he apologized, and the next day it was all done and finished, and it was fine. And then he disappeared. He was disappeared in 68, 69. 68, you recall, was an extremely volatile year. Mm-hmm. Assassinations, riots.
Sure. Right. The Vietnam War was going on.
Vietnam War. Now, he didn't disappear because he was going to be political. He disappeared and he came back a more authentic, Richard Pryor. I'm not mad about the gratuitous cursing. I mean, poor Lenny Bruce's Christian-like sacrifice. I mean, he was nailed to the cross. I mean, he had no champions but Marty Garbus, his lawyer. I think his sacrifice, sometimes I wonder if it was in vain, because profanity is an important part of the language. It has to be used when it's necessary, not every other word. And anyway, I just he gets a tremendous pass on that score, because when he came back, that was incredible.
Yeah,
the characters.
But that being the first, and you're all the first generation who did monologues in the way that we do today. And here he is, this black comic, and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X get killed so close together. And then what do you go on stage and talk about again? Can you, if something like that happens in 1968, would that not change anybody's personality,
Cosby, you could say, never really, became... And by the way, he has admitted to nothing. There's no proof. It's just a case of he said, she 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 said. Do you know I knew when I went with Debbie Dickinson?
Yeah.
Her sister Janice told me 25 years ago, he's an animal. He tried to drug me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember distinctly. And I remember thinking, but, nothing was done about it.
But you heard that long ago about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So some people in the business knew for a long time, but there were rumors.
Yeah, I mean, I was working on a show on a soundstage in L.A., and this woman was a day player. It was a series I did a couple of years ago called The Stones with Judith Light. And this actress told how when she went on the set of the last Schwarzenegger movie before he became governor, how they took her aside and said, keep away from him, keep a distance, like with, like talking about danger, not just annoyance. Who knows? I mean, I feel like these women have been vindicated because it's a tough thing to keep to yourself. There was a DA who said, look, I know the truth when I hear it, and this woman was telling the truth from Temple, but I had no case and I couldn't pursue it. So whatever it is, he won't be prosecuted criminally, and he's certainly not a man without not a man without talent, but his legacy is ruined, and that's the most that can happen in terms of that. But I always thought he was a little on the soft side, to be honest with you. But Pryor was in a class by himself. I think Eddie Murphy is a wonderful movie star. I think he's been a great movie star. And I just, I'm not crazy about the stand-up. Or Chris Rock is pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you see Chris Rock on Empire last night? He played a gangster, a stone-cold gangster.
I saw a piece of it in the news.
He did great.
Yeah, he looked like it, too. I mean, he could look mean. Well, I mean, Liza Minnelli and a lot of Broadway types. And it was a family. It was, the improv was a cauldron of developing talent. And I never in my life had a bar like Cheers where people know your name and all that. And not since either. But I went for a couple of years, almost every night. I'd park my car in front of the place on 44th Street, and it was the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me. And then, of course, there came Catch a Rising Star, the comic strip, all those other places, and Belzer and a whole group of comedians. But that was a few years after.
It took many years because Bud opened that in '63, and Catch didn't come along until the end of '74. So for like 11 years, the Improv was the only place to go.
Rick has apparently rented out the name, Rick Newman, because I've done a few Catch a Rising Stars in New Jersey.
Yeah, they're a franchise.
They put up a balloon on the wall of a hotel, a little ballroom. It says Catch a Rising Star, and that's that club for the night. It'll be somewhere else the next day. It's not even a hotel worth of stealing the towels.
But that must have been amazing to you after doing stand-up for so long to suddenly turn around in the city and there's hundreds of stand-ups rather than a dozen, You know
what? It's interesting you say that because I've always been sort of creatively isolated. I guess because I knew it was so good and, he beat me for the Tony, George's AM/FM, his album. Mine was Child of 50s. And, I didn't rush to listen to everybody. When I would sit with Rodney and watch comedians go up there, that was interesting. But I remember I was at the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal, and I hear expressions on the television, the comedy community, the comedy industry. And I look up, and there's hundreds of comedy clubs around the country, not to mention Catch and the comic strip and those other famous ones. It grew up like it is now, for example, a career path. We filmed, too, as part of the documentary. I went up to SUNY Binghamton. There's a stand-up club, and I watched the students do stand-up. My son, at 31, decided to leave this job he had with Bobby Kennedy's Waterkeeper organization after 7 or 8 years. He really wants to do this now. I thought he might have done it years ago, but okay, he's 31, he's young. Well, there are these places all over town, apparently, where you pay $5 and you can get up in the mic. Other ones where you bring a friends and they buy drinks. And there's a whole kind of complex of and a whole stratification of when you get good enough, you go to this show and that show. And my son was up on stage, and I saw him for the very first time a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Gurian here was there, and he got up. He was very funny.
Thank you.
The kid needs some funny jokes. He's got the goods.
No, but I'll tell you what, he had great stage presence, which was really, it was his second time on stage, and he owned the stage. It wasn't only that he wasn't nervous; he really took charge of his space, which is very rare
to do. It's kind of you to say, and I think it's true.
It was the truth.
But he, to me, I've written 14 hours of material, nine HBO specials. 2 of them were 90 minutes. And I said, you got to get that 4 minutes, that 5 minutes, But all in all, I still think it's a high calling. People love to laugh. And most of these young people I see getting up, they can do the job. When I did New Joke City a few years ago for the Metro channel they used to have on Cablevision, I saw 52 comedians, and every one of them got laughs. Very few of them were remotely profound. I didn't think it was great, but they're practitioners. They know how to get up in front of strangers and get a laugh.
Yeah, I saw something. I saw a kid come out with a poster. I don't know what he had written on it, but thinking of your son, the second time to go on stage and have Robert Klein watch you, and not even if Robert Klein was your father, but that would have freaked me out completely to look out and see something like that.
I was nervous that night too, knowing that he was in the audience.
Yeah,
I bet that's
that could
the
be
kid.
him. Yeah.
Oh, you were nervous just doing.
I was nervous performing, knowing that Robert was there because he said to me that he hadn't seen me perform before.
I can't believe this. This is John Sterling. Hello, John. I'm on the radio here on Sirius XM. Can you imagine? Can I call you back in a few minutes? Okay. I will. Okay, thanks. My favorite Yankee announcer.
That's amazing. But that's Robert Klein's life. You know people in all walks of life, right?
Well, every time I go to the game, we wave, and I go like this. I'll call you, and you'll call me. I knew Yogi. I mean, I wasn't close, but he is one of the great American lives. Lawrence Peter Barra. He was ungainly. He was behind the eight ball to begin with. He didn't look like an athlete. He didn't sound confident. Whatever it is, he was amazing. And he was on my talk show. I had a show on USA Network for 2 years when USA was still trying to find itself. 1985, 1986. I don't know if they have yet. But anyway, we eventually were canceled. I was replaced by the real estate seminar, the Dave Delgado cash flow method, which shows you how the cash flows from your bank account directly to Dave's. Somehow he's able to buy a government building for $1. I don't know how. But Yogi was on, and in the makeup room we were talking, and he's nobody's fool. He came very close to suing Hanna-Barbera for the Yogi Bear thing, and he just decided to let it lie. I think, actually thinking that it probably doesn't do anything to hurt his image, and in fact projects it. But the first time I ever met him was wild. 1977. I was credentialed as a journalist for Sport Magazine to cover the 1977 All-Star Game at Yankee Stadium. There I am in the clubhouse, the first time in my life. I mean, I've been a fan. I was 5 years old. My father took me to Yankee Stadium. And there's Yogi, naked. Wearing only a Chesterfield hanging from his mouth, a lit Chesterfield. He had a towel over his shoulder, and there was my hero, Yogi Berra, naked. I can't go into details, but gravity plays an imposing part in the human condition. And he was cordial and seemed completely unself-conscious.
He carried on a conversation with you completely naked? Yeah.
He did. I asked him a few questions. I believe he was coaching. And it was hilarious because that's the way I met him. So I mentioned that on the talk show. And there were a few other times, but most recently was really a strange evening. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. There was a terrible play off Broadway called The Bronx Bombers. They actually moved to Broadway for about a week. Why? I don't know. This was a mighty bad play. It involves Mickey and Joe D and Babe all coming down from heaven, and they're in Yogi and Carmen's kitchen. I don't know. So
I know someone who was in it, actually, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the Mickey Mantle guy, when his back was turned, and that number 7, he had blonde hair, and he was built like Mickey, about 5'11", with big, calves and shoulders. So I was invited to this. It was the opening off Broadway. It holds about 200 people, if that. And the elevator opens, and out comes Carmen and Lawrence Peter And Yogi had on a Yankee hat, and it had a kind of perpetual smile, like he wasn't entirely there.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of his sons were there, not Dale or Larry, but no, it was Larry, not Dale or Dale or Tim, who were both professional athletes. You know, he has a son that must be 100 years old himself, you know what I mean? And he said, hey, Robert, and he, you know, we talked a little, and I said to Yogi, that Jackie Robinson was out. You know, he said, and he acknowledged that was, of course, something that people brought up all the time, the famous stealing of home in the 55 World Series, I think it was. Anyway, I had the incredible experience of watching Yogi and Carmen. Also, Elston Howard's widow was there with his daughter, and Steinbrenner's daughter, Jennifer, with her son, who didn't seem to like the play at all. I could watch Yogi and Carmen watching themselves being portrayed 10 feet away by actors. And he just looked. And she kind of looked very alert. She died about a month and a half later, which shocked me because she looked hardier than Yogi and all that. And I spent as much time looking at him, watching himself be portrayed and bringing up all these dead former associates and teammates. I mean, you know, and not to mention that this always means a lot to me. As a little Jewish boy born in 1942, he was a D-Day. I mean, he was shooting naval guns, and he also took a bullet. He had a Purple Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And
he never talked about it much.
No, they never do. They never do. Charlie, who was a big guy, everybody loved the actor, Charles Durning.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the beach.
Yeah, he was on the beach.
He killed a German with his bare hands. He had a terrible time of it. And none of these guys discuss it much. And the war generation is dying very quickly. And on the AHC channel, run by a friend of mine, Henry Schleif, I know for years from Home Box Office, they have some wonderful documentaries, including incredible footage of World War II. But to hear these veterans talk, these men who are now in their late 80s, into their 90s, how awful war is, how terrible combat is. So when you see these cruises and these Trumps, and they say, send the troops right away, and if you can talk, people underrate the value and the virtue of diplomacy if you can talk. So if we keep them from having a bomb 15 years and then they start it again, then they'll, but if you could just talk to prevent war. So Yogi was just absolutely first rate when they asked him to promote Yoo-Hoo and sort of do an ad for them. He said, no, I want a part of the company. And they gave it to him. So he and Phil Rizzuto, both in an era when the ball players didn't get that much money, he negotiated his own contracts. He got agents, and he did very, very well with an 8th grade education. It is America at its best.
Also, you know, this gets forgotten because of so many funny things, but he was a phenomenal baseball player. I mean, his stats are absolutely phenomenal.
There was a great story about him and Bob Feller. Yogi always liked when people liked him. He knew that Bob Feller didn't like him, and he asked him, why not? And he said, because you never served in the army. You never served in the armed forces. And that's when he told him that he served in World War II. And he said now he respected him for that because he never knew.
I thought they all knew that.
Yeah, I thought everybody,
He kept it
Ted
to
Williams
himself.
was gone for all those years. It was, almost shut baseball down during that time.
And Ted Williams his stats would have been
phenomenal,
more impressive.
Better.
You know, I asked Yogi the first time, not the All-Star time, but when he was on my talk show, show me his hands. His fingers were all broken and gnarled. You know, in this era when he's got a stomach ache, he'll be out a day. This guy, they had 154 games a year. He used to catch 150 games a year. His backup was Charlie Silvera. Nobody even knew who he was.
Nobody saw him.
And Ralph Houck was the third catcher. He was a wonderful, wonderful ball player. He loved it. It was his life. And he also was a serious manager, even though he was considered a buffoon in certain respects from things he said. He was an excellent manager. And sadly, Babe Ruth was deprived of that because Colonel Rupert had promised him a management job. And when the time came, he said, "You manage? You can't even manage yourself, much less the Yankees."
Yeah.
And he was wrong. He would have been a great manager.
The documentary that the Weinstein Company is putting out still can't stop.
Robert Klein still can't stop his leg. I can't tell you how proud. I mean, I didn't make it. I'm the subject. Marshall Fine directed it. He's a film critic. We have Jerry Seinfeld, and we have Stewart, and we have Billy Crystal and Jay Leno all talking about how they became comedian because of me, which is an interesting thing.
There's there's very few things in life that mean more than the respect of your peers and the people that come after you, and that's just thrilling. Robert Klein, thank you. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
And I'll see you again.
I have to call John Sterling now. The Yankees win.
That was terrific.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!